Doing great.
Hallelujah. That's good to hear.
Hallelujah.
That sounds like Mama Speed. Is that who that is?
It is. It is.
Where y'all at now?
We just got back. We just flew in from Qatar, from Doha, coming from Kampala. So we're in Dallas now.
Man, it's
Dallas.
been a journey for you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it has. But we're here. Say hi, Sam.
Hello. Dallas Parkway as Shalom. Dallas Parkway.
Shabbat shalom, Aki.
Shabbat shalom.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, blessed. Doing good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's a journey. I got a lot to tell you. It was something to see,
I know
something to experience.
Uganda, right?
Yes, Uganda on the East Africa.
Man, like, yeah, we're gonna have to set up some time to get us a phone call in here.
Yes, I think it's really good.
Hallelujah. I get you some rest. I'm sure y'all tired as well.
Not so tired. I'm not tired right now. It hasn't hit me yet because you know that we had like the 16-hour flight from Qatar to Dallas, and then prior to that, it's a 6-hour drive, 6-hour flight to from Kampala to Doha, which is in Qatar. So it's like a 24-hour flight, but you sleep a lot, so it's not so bad right now. We're just gonna drive back to Ruston.
24-hour flight. That sounds like a bit much.
Confusion, that's what it is. Have your brain all messed up.
Most definitely. You came yesterday to be nice. We you might have to. I know you were doing the Zooms where we read. You might have to set up a Zoom and then we can all just sit and hear about the trip in one sitting.
That'll be good because I'm gonna definitely I'm gonna start my Zoom soon. Samara said she's gonna help me after she finish up. But yes, we're gonna definitely, that would be great. I'll have to set up a Zoom and we'll talk about it and let y'all know about everything that we experienced. I think Speed has a lot to share as well, Miles, and it was really good. It was really good. It was a good trip.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Make sure you let me know and I'll pass the information on to anybody who wanted to join.
Okay.
Hallelujah. Um, do some reading. Uh Obadiah, you could do some reading if you like to,
Yeah, what would you like for me to read?
Oh, I know that heat down there, man. You say it ain't nothing, but I beg to differ. Hey,
Was it Psalm 68?
Psalm 68. That's where we gonna start today. It's a pretty long psalm, so let's get to it.
Okay.
Where's Obadiah?
Uh,
I'm right here.
I said, where are you? What you said?
Oh,
It's the heat.
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Oh yeah, you got the heat. Every time Texas is always 10 degrees hotter than Louisiana for some reason.
Yeah, I love it.
Here you go. Here you go. It's 108, man. How can you love 108? Oh, I can't understand that.
I don't either. I don't understand it either, but I tell you what, it's not hot in Africa like I thought it was. It didn't get no higher than 80.
That's surprising. But I think the seasons have switched there. I don't think this was hot season that you were just there.
They don't have seasons. They don't have seasons. What they call seasons is they have a rainy season and they have a windy, a dry season. But the weather is the same year round.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's not true. No, their weather I didn't know either. I thought it was gonna be like really, really either cold or hot. But it's one temp. It's usually about 80, get up to about 80 degrees, and they're always bearing fruit.
They always bearing fruit. Hey, that is something.
How was the nights?
It got down to like 62. The waters are all around it, waters, rivers. So yeah, it's just the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life.
It is beautiful.
Mhm.
You know what's strange? Just like I just looked it up. It's only like 67 miles from the equator. I don't understand why it's not blazing down there.
Yeah, we were right there. We were right there on the equator. When we
Mhm.
rode the Nile River, we were right there, right by the equator, right, Sam? But we were there.
That is
Okay, I'll go ahead and get started.
Psalm 68. Shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Let Elohim arise. Let his enemies be scattered. Let them also be that hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, so drive them away as wax melted before the fire. So let the wicked perish at the presence of God, of Elohim. But let the righteous be glad, and let them rejoice before Elohim. Yea, let them exceedingly rejoice. Sing unto Yah, sing praises to his name. Extol him that rideth upon the heavens by his name, Yah, and rejoice before him.
Now, hold on 1 second right there. This is one of the parts where, as you see, it says, he said, Yah, but they printed Jah, but they understood that it was Yah. And this is one of the places where, they kind of tell on themselves, where they put all these gods and lords, but it's certain places where they'll still put this to let us know that they understood. When they were translating the King James in 1611, I believe is when it was done, they understood what the name was. They purposely put the gods and the lords in here. And even this Jah, is that there is no J in Hebrew. They purposely did this with the name, but they knew what it was, or at least they had an idea what it was supposed to be. And this is one of the places where you see that. Go ahead, verse 5.
A father of the fatherless and a judge of the widows is Yah in his holy habitation.
Yeah.
Elohim setteth solitarily in families. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains, but the rebellion dwell in a dry land.
Place like Mama Speed just said, they bearing fruit year round. What he's saying here is Yah saying the rebellious, the wicked, those who, don't want to do his will, they're going to dwell in a dry land, a place where there is no fruit, a desolate place. Verse 7.
O Elohim did send a plentiful rain, whereby thou didst confirm thine inheritance when it was weary.
What verse you on?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Verse 7.
O Elohim, when thou wentest forth before thy people, when thou did march through the wilderness, the earth shook, the heavens also dropped at the presence of Elohim. Even Sinai itself was moved, and the presence of Yah, the Elohim of Israel.
And as you see there, the earth shook at the presence of Yah. So when you hear, and then this is my opinion, I should say, but when you see the scripture talk about in the last days, the earth will have birth pains, and it'll talk about earthquakes and the volcanoes and all of these things. In my mind, I see that the earth is shaking and the heavens is dropping because Yah is drawing closer to making another appearance, I should say. And we see this multiple times in scripture. We've seen it at Mount Sinai with Moses, as it says here. He scorched the top of the mountain and it was fire, and it was all this stuff going on that the Israelites were scared of. We seen it again when Hamashiach was being crucified. Um, it was an eclipse from the 6th hour to the 9th hour of the morning, which is long. A 3-hour eclipse. Typically, when we see eclipses, like a few seconds, if that, a minute or two, and it'll be done. It said that you couldn't see the sun for 3 hours when Hamashiach was being crucified. The earth shook, it said. The rocks were rent, like he basically had ripped up the earth. The dead bodies had raised. So we've seen a few times in scripture where it talks about the presence of Yah being, and we know Yah to be everywhere, but his presence just being closer. I'm going to say in the physical, for lack of a better word, because we know spiritually, and he's everywhere, physically, spiritually, wherever. But there are instances where he has, and a lot of times it'll say he bowed the heavens, like he didn't get off the throne. He shifted the heavens so that the throne was closer, is how I read it. I could be wrong on that, but and at those moments we've seen that there is an effect on the earth when the Most High is close to it, and those are 2 occasions when scripturally we know that he was close. Verse 9.
O thy Elohim didst send a plentiful rain, whereby thou didst confirm thine inheritance when it was weary. Thy congregation has dwelt therein. Thou, O Elohim, hast prepared of thy goodness for the poor. Yahuwah gave the word, great was the company of those that published it.
I'm talking about us. I'm talking about us. Yah gave the word, and great was the company of those that published it. From Moses, Abraham, Enoch, Adam, the prophets, the kings, David, the disciples, us today. That's what we're doing. We're trying to go back and talk to, whoever is willing to hear, as he told the disciples, we ain't gonna do no bunch of wrestling with nobody. Wherever you received in the house, let the peace of Yah be on the house with you. Wherever you not received on the house, take the peace of Yah with you when you go. You know what I mean? But we're doing the same thing. It may look a little different, it may feel a little different, but we're being called in Ma'aki Kami. I heard him once say that we are a chosen generation, just spread out amongst time. And the calling is the same. And great is the company of those that publish it. So we should count ourselves in good company. Hallelujah. Verse 12.
Kings of armies did flee apace, and she that tarried at home divided the spoil. Though ye have lain among the pots, yet shall ye be as the wings of a dove covered with silver, and her feathers with yellow gold. When the Almighty scatters kings in it, it was white as snow and salmon. The hills of Elohim is as the hills of Bashan, a high hill as the hill of Bashan. Why leap ye high yahlills? This is the hill which Elohim desires to dwell in. Yea, Yahuwah will dwell in it forever.
Just think right there. He's like, why? He's talking about the hills, but he's talking about people. Why are you puffing yourself up? Why are you making yourself a god? Why are you trying to make yourself a high heel? Nations, people, fallen angels, whatever. He's like, why? Yah desired to dwell here. And he's going to dwell here forever. Basically, no matter how you exalt yourselves, and he could be talking about the landmass as well. There's a duality there. But he's also saying no matter how high you all try to exalt yourself, you're not going to dwell forever, and you'll never exalt yourself over me. Remember, the devil told him, I'm going to set my throne higher than you. And he's like, yeah, you leap like a high heel, but I'm going to dwell in the hill I chose forever. Your run ain't going to be like mine. Verse 17.
The chariots of Elohim's are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The and Yahuwah is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place.
This is hold on, verse 17. This is the reason why I wanted to read this, because this is going to come up again. The chariots of Elohim are 20,000, really times thousands of angels, like without number is kind of what it's saying. I don't know if they would have had a number back then for like 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000. They would just been like thousands times thousands. Just that would be the way, in my opinion, that they would say it's without number. The word here for Lord, we broke this word down, Adonai, meaning King of Kings, Lord of Lords. It's a title, and it's speaking of Hamashiach. He is the King of Kings. We know that Yah is the father of him, the creator. His government shall be on his shoulders, because the head of Hamashiach is Yah. But it's saying Hamashiach is among them, as in Sinai in the holy place. So it's letting us know that when the chariots of Yah are around, Hamashiach being the head, of the army, and then Yah is the head of him, which makes him the head of all creation in the army as well. But he is counted among them, and that's going to come up again later as we start the reading of Isaiah. Verse 18.
Thou hast ascended on high. Thou hast led captivity captive. Thou hast received gifts for men, yea, for the rebellious also, that the Most High Yah might dwell among them. Blessed be Yah, who daily loaded us with benefits, even the Elohim of our salvation. He that is our Elohim is the Elohim of salvation, and unto the Almighty, that Yah belongs to the issues from death. But Elohim shall wound the head of his enemies, and the hairy scalps of such as one of that goeth on steel in his temperance. Trespasses.
Hallelujah.
Yah said, I will bring against from Bashan, I will bring my people again from the depths of the sea.
An interesting thing about that scripture is, we know that during the trek from Africa, as they were coming to the Caribbean and this new, quote unquote, this new land, as they called it, a lot of our people died in the ocean. Whether some people jumped and was like, I'm just not going into slavery. And, some people died on boats and they dumped bodies there. And some people they killed and put in there for whatever things that may have been going on the ships, or for whatever reason. And like I say, this verse could mean a lot of things, but when I read it, that speaks to me. I will bring my people again from the depths of the sea. Meaning, to me, I just hear, in these last days, as he raises the dead, he's also going to raise all of our ancestors that have jumped in the sea or been thrown in the sea. And that verse just kind of hits on that to me. 23.
That thy foot may be dipped in the blood of thine enemies, and the tongue of thy dogs in the same. They have seen thy going, O Yah, even the goings of my Elohim, my King, in this sanctuary. The singers went before the players on instruments, followed after. Among them were the damsels playing with tambourines.
We always been a singing and dancing people. And to me, that's a marker, because even today on this planet, they like to. You see them when they put out these lists, like the Rolling Stone put out its list of the best singers, and Michael Jackson is like 7. And it's like, dude, ain't nobody never, not this modern era, who could out-sing Michael Jackson. But it's scriptures like that to let you know the reason why we embody that now. Now we embody that for a wicked reason now, because we don't profess the love of Yah typically in the music that we make now. The devil has hijacked the music, and we actually speak down and hurt our own people with a lot of the music we make. Not all, but a lot of it today. But we have always been a singing, a dancing, a people that did that well. Verse 26.
Bless ye Elohim in the congregations, even Yahuwah from the fountains of Israel. There is little Benjamin with their ruler, the princes of Judah and their councils, the princes of Zebulun and the princes of Naphtali. Thy Elohim hath commanded thy strength. Strengthen, O Elohim, that which thou hast wrought for us. Because thy temple in Jerusalem shall kings bring presents unto thee. Rebuke the company of the spearmen, the multitude of the bulls with the calves of the people, till everyone submit himself with pieces of silver. Scatter thou the people that delight in war.
Let it be known there that the kings are going to bring gifts to Jerusalem. And it tells us that in Revelation, the kings, the people left on the earth, they're going to bring gifts. They're going to come up for Sukkot. The war is going to be over with, as he tells us. They're going to beat their spears and pruning hooks. And I'm not quoting exactly, but it's something like that. And that day it's all going to be over with. And that's also a little marker, because he's talking about when he returns his people back to the land that he has chosen for them, to the temple, or at least where the temple was built, that he's going to put, we're going to see a new temple come down from the Shemayim. Now, we have a people in the land claiming that they these people, that they in that land. And yet, not only has war not been stopped and the people of war been scattered, they are some of the main people that's been at war ever since that they've been tried to move into this land and claim to be us. And that is Yah letting it be known. No, that wasn't me. No, after these world wars and all these nations spent all this money to help carve out this slot for you, that wasn't me. What I'm going to do is going to be much greater than that. For one, it's going to be a greater gathering from all four corners of the earth, not just from Europe, for the most part. And for two, ain't gonna be no fighting. Ain't gonna be no walls on the Gaza Strip and you going to bomb these people and really bully them out their houses. No, I'm going to move all of this around in a much more magnificent fashion. Verse 31.
Princes shall come out of Egypt. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands to Elohim. Sing unto Elohim, ye kingdoms of the earth. O sing praises unto Yahuwah. To him that rideth upon the heavens of heavens, which were of old, lo, he doth send out his voice, and that a mighty voice.
Think about that. He said, to him that ride up on the heavens of heavens, and something similar to that is about to come up as well today. But which are of old, he doeth send out his voice, and that a mighty voice. And we know that Hamashiach is the word of Yah. And like I say, it's a duality, I'm sure, and other things being said there. But I think of him sending the Messiah, which is a mighty voice. It is the word of Yah. He is the king. So that just reminds me of him sending Hamashiach in the flesh the first time, the spiritual return in his glory this next time, which is the time that we're waiting on now. Verse 34.
Ascribe ye strength unto ascribe ye strength unto Elohim. His excellency is over Israel, and his strength is in the clouds.
Yeah.
O Yah, thou art terrible out of the holy places. The Elohim of Israel is he that giveth strength and power unto his people. Blessed is Yah.
That's when you would hear people say Barak Yahuwah or Baruch Yahuwah, however you pronounce it, which means bless Yah. He gives strength and power unto his people. That's a powerful statement. We read that as this is how King David would give his praise to Yah. Those are bold words. And we just read that as we humble our hearts and get ready to go into prayer ourselves. It says he gives his strength and his power to his people. And I just want to dwell on that as we go into prayer. He gives strength and power unto his people. Blessed be Yah. And as we dwell on that and we go into prayer, we, as always, when you go into the throne room of Yah, you got to bring an offering. Just like if you was going into the throne room of an earthly king, and this was in that time of that, you would bring an offering, a gift, so to speak. And we know from scripture that our gift to Yah, and Todah Rabbah, Ak Obadiah for the reading too. Don't let me go too far. That was just a lot to be read.
All praises to
Hallelujah. Thank you always, Ak. And we definitely gonna be praying, although you enjoy it, we gonna be praying that Yah give you some cool from that 108, man. But as we read this, and as we dwell, like I say, on the power or the strength and the power that Yah has given us, our gift when we go into the throne room from scripture is that we give thanks. That's all Yah asking of us. Show some appreciation. Show that you're mindful of the things that I'm doing. Show that you care. The proud don't care. They don't give thanks for anything. That the proud now, everybody has done it on their own accord. And Yah has always let us know, nah, Israel, at least, you ain't done it on your own accord, because I've called you. I've made covenant with you. So as we go into the throne room and we think about Yah giving strength and power to his people, we give Yah thanks to be able to fellowship with each other. We thank you, Yah, for blessing us to see another day. I guess that should be first and foremost. For giving us another opportunity to correct ourselves and to humble ourselves to that covenant that you made with our ancestors, to relearn who we are, what we are, and who you are when it comes to us. What the responsibility was, not just to be chosen to get strength and power. And we understand from scripture, a lot of our people leaned on that and took advantage of that and forgot that there was a responsibility that comes with that power. And we thank you for giving us the opportunity to not only walk in that strength and that power, but to understand the responsibility. We thank you for your loving kindness and your mercy and your forgiveness and your patience. And we thank you for teaching us that that's how we should be, for giving us the opportunity to correct ourselves in that area, to show more humility and to be more meek, to be more humble, also to rebuke in the right way, to cry loud and spare not, but to do it in the manner that you would do it and not in the manner of men. We thank you, Yah, for sending your salvation, your mighty voice, your word, our brethren, our kinsman redeemer, our king, to willingly lay down his life to reestablish a connection that was broken way back then. We're talking thousands of years, possibly. And we're still trying to reestablish that connection today. This ain't magic. It don't just happen like that. We have to humble ourselves and submit to the responsibility that comes with the connection. And we thank you, Yah, for putting it on our hearts to do that. We pray for the elders that we have here on the call. There are a few. We thank you for them. We thank you for the knowledge that you've given them that they can pass down to us. We thank you for blessing their lives to become elders in the land of their captivity, where for the most part, for most of us in most forms of fashion, life has been hard. but you have strengthened us. You have given strength and power to your people. And we thank you for those. And we just pray for the health of all of the elders. We pray for the health of everybody, but especially our elders, that you continue to strengthen their temples, that you continue to let your light shine upon them, knowing that no darkness can comprehend it, and anything that may be on them or creeping around them, that you'll run off. I pray for my father, that you strengthen his heart, that you continue to work on him and his wife to bring them closer to you, and to help them to focus more on your Torah, to come back closer to the things, that principles that you have established with him that maybe he didn't stepped away from. But we know that nothing is too hard for you. And I trust that if it be your will, he can be brought back to that. I pray for the Speed family, that you've blessed them to take a 24-hour flight, Yah, but you've brought them home safely. You've took them through lands where they may not have knew the native tongue, and they may not have knew all of the customs, or even where they were at in some spots. But no matter what was going on around them, we thank you for making sure that they were safe, for making sure that they were secure, and for blessing their time abroad. And I'm sure you planted many a seed to where you revealed yourself along the way. We thank you for the Shabbat, Father Yah. We ask that, or I ask personally, that I decrease today as your word is increased, and that whatever it is that you see fit that we learn today from the readings of your Torah, will be revealed. And I just ask that if nothing else, Abiyah, you use today and you use the readings to help us all to build up on the things that we are righteously doing that you have showed us, but to also step away, and that you reveal to us things that we may need to put away, things that we may be holding on to that aren't profitable, starting with myself, Abiyah, and that you just show us how to better ourselves as you've given us this opportunity to be better servants of yours. In the name of our King, who intercedes on our behalf, who told us if we ask anything in your name, that you will bless us. In his name, we just ask that your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, is over the conversation. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
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 Yeah, hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat shalom, Maki.
Shabbat shalom.
Hey, who's that? Shabbat shalom. We always stop for the kids.
Say your name.
I couldn't hear you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Oh, we definitely stop for the kids when they, hey, that's what it's about. Like, I was talking to somebody yesterday, man. I'm 42, which I feel like an old man, but to some of you, it's like, boy, you young. So I get it. But we may not reach any adults, and that's sad to say, but we may never reach any adults. It's just that real. I humble myself to that thought. With that being said, though, we gotta reach the children, because they are, and in my opinion, this generation that's coming up now may be the most important. A, Yah has opened up the books and more things are understandable. B, the world is getting wilder than it's really probably ever been. I talked to my granny, she's 91, and she tells me just in her 91-year lifespan, she is like, the things that go on today, and she was saying this during COVID, but she was like, no, this is as wild as she's ever known, her life experience. And that's just a 90-year window, which is a strong, I mean, a short time in forever, but that's a nice window. And she's like, no, this is as crazy as it's ever been amongst our people, especially. So if we reach the children, one child, two children, however many, this generation is really going to be really important going forward with as now we have babies. As my daughter sound like that child there is very young. We're raising children in the true, what we believe to be the true customs, the covenant of our people. And their impact, in my opinion, on their peers, society in general, I just feel like will be the greatest. They're in position to have, and I shouldn't just say the babies, because teenagers and even some of these 20-year-olds, like, their impact is set up to be the greatest, but especially these kids that are being raised in Torah who've never known anything other than that. They're set up to be a real blessing. Like coming through school, I asked some of you, I don't know how old all of you are when you learn truth, but can you imagine? I think about myself, like, can I imagine being 7, learning the truth of Yah and who my people was and leaning on that, and coming up through middle school and high school, just knowing how I was in school and how I knew people and people gravitated to me then, and just being, I mean, humbly popular, and to be like that, but to be walking in Torah at that time, I just think of how much different this would have even been in my own life. But I also understand that it wasn't my time for that. Yah woke me up and allowed me to see the truth when he knew that I was ready to receive that. And he didn't want to send me off to be a reckless young man thinking he knows something. But these children are going to be raised in schools like that. They're going to be around people at a young age, and they are set up to be such a blessing to the world, but especially to Yah's chosen people of Israel. Hallelujah. Isaiah chapter, where are we here? I'm actually running behind already. We're going to have to make up some time. Isaiah chapter 20. What did we do in the last chapter? Oh, no, I don't remember what we did. Egypt. Oh, the house of bondage. That's what we did last time. Y'all showed us Egypt, all of these houses of bondage, which is what Mitzrayim represents. Mitzrayim being the how they would say Egypt in biblical terms. You know, you may hear people talk about Kemet. I was around somebody yesterday that was trying to Kemet me to death. And I'm just like, yeah, there ain't no proof to none of that, man. Yeah, it was a whole thing, man. I wish some of you could have been there. But I actually had to rebuke somebody yesterday. I don't even do that often, but I was like, stop just pushing that nonsense with all these people in the room who try to learn something, man. You just, people who be talking all that Kemet out they're you have to be crafty in how you deal with them, but they all do the same thing. Use a bunch of big words and try to talk over everybody's head like they understand these mathematics and this and that, and don't nobody else understand. And I tolerate that for a time, but the rebuke came when I got tired of tolerating it. And it was probably after about an hour or two, so I didn't just go in. But then once I got tired of tolerating it, we shed a little light on some of those things, and they all do the same thing. Whenever you call them out on some of that, they get to talk about what you don't know and blah, blah, blah. And the point of all of that is, no, them ain't your ancestors, Negro. That's the house of bondage. And if you want to be 100, we still in Egypt today. Some of our people, when you look back in the Bible, right, when he used Moses and he brought Israel out of Egypt, some of our people never left Egypt. They might have physically left, but the mentality never left. And it's still here today. And literally, the mentality never left. That's why, as we go through Isaiah, the 10 northern kingdoms are about to be judged, because the mentality of Egypt never left. They were still with us. And by the time you get to Isaiah, we're about 600 years, 650 years, maybe, from Moses, give or take. When we go into Babylon, they ain't going into Babylon for acting Babylonian. We're going into Babylon, well, although it is Babylonian, because Babylon started all of it. Babylon is what Egypt is predicated on, which I tried to tell this person yesterday, getting to telling me about how Amun-Ra is the sun god, and he's saying it with all this pride. And I'm like, dude, that was bit from Nimrod. When the tower fell and the languages was spread out, he just changed the name because couldn't nobody say Nimrod no more. Yah took it from him, but be that as it may, that's still following us as we went into Babylon, under the Persians, under the Greeks, under the Romans, and now we in America. all across a whole body of water from where we would know Egypt to be, right? And it's a house of bondage. You came here in chains. You don't physically got on chains, but our people mentally and spiritually got on chains today. You still under the yoke of Egypt. It's never left. So last week he talked about the house of bondage, and we spoke about Egypt as the landmass, but we spoke about it as a house of bondage. We see today, Yah's still talking about this. Yet he's gonna use it. He's gonna talk about it in a certain type of way. I thought this was interesting today. Isaiah chapter 20, verse 1 says, in the year that Tartan came into Ashdod, when Sargon, the king of Assyria, sent him and fought against Ashdod and took it. I had Sargon brought up here because this gives us a date. Really what that just did was give us a date. And the time that Sargon came in, Sargon II was the king of Neo-Assyrian Empire from 722 BC to his death in the Battle of 705. Probably the son of Tiglath-Pileser, I believe, the third. He gave us a date. I ain't gonna go all into Sargon, but he gave us a date. We're talking, and this date could be off, but we're talking around the time that the Northern Kingdom is about to go. I don't believe that they went into captivity just yet, but we're right around that time. And this date is probably a little off because I would probably really put this date around 690 BC, but be that as it may, we're not gonna argue over 30 years, and we're talking about a 2,500 year, or about a 2,700 year period, like 30 years, give or take. Okay. But he gave us a date right there. Around that time, Yah spoke. He spoke to YeshaYahu, which means Yahuwah salvation, as we know that Isaiah's name is YeshaYah. You hear some people, YeshaYah or YeshaYah, just as that some people will say. I personally like the YeshaYahu, but it means Yah has saved. The son of Amos, I believe this Amos to be the prophet. I believe that YeshaYahu or Isaiah was the son of Amos who wrote the book of Amos the prophet. I do. That's my opinion. It may say that somewhere in scripture, but I haven't just nailed it down. So until I nail it down, that's my opinion. But it said that Yah came to him at that date and told him, go and loose the sackcloth from off thy loins and put off the shoe from thy foot. And he did so, walking naked and barefoot. Now, mind you, he was not naked. He still had on undergarments. But what the word naked here is really representing is, it says nude. The word is arum, aram, maybe. But it means, in the definition of the root word, it says that it's the pictograph, and it's a room or a ram, however you want to pronounce it. But it's the ayin, as you see the eye right here, and it's the resh. And it says the ayin is a picture of an eye. The resh is the picture of a man. Combine these means see a man. When the enemy is captured, he is stripped of his clothes to the skin and carefully watched. But it also represents nakedness or being carefully watched. But it also means to uncover, to remove the covering. I can't even find the one, but you know that when a person is naked, you see his shame, is what Yah is really saying here. So he's telling YeshaYahu, take off the sackcloth from the loin, off your loins, and put off thy shoe from the foot. And he did so, and he walked naked and barefoot. And Yahuwah said, like as my servant YeshaYahu have walked naked and barefoot 3 years, for a sign and a wonder upon Mitzrayim and upon Ethiopia, which we broke that down last week too, is Cush. It's not necessarily where we call Ethiopia today. Don't mean that everybody a Cushite. We got different people living amongst people. I do believe that there are bloodline Israelite. Matter of fact, I know for a fact that there are bloodline Israelites there. Maybe the most famous being Haile Selassie in the 60s in the time of Kennedy. He said that I am a descendant of that baby between Solomon and Sheba. So we know that they are there, taking his word as his word, right? And Yah is like, so Ethiopia isn't necessarily the place. He's talking about the Cushite. Everybody in Ethiopia today, I don't believe to be a Cushite, but be that as it may. And I know for a fact that everybody in Egypt today ain't a descendant of Mitzrayim. because you got these Arabic people, these people from the Middle East who realistically, they don't have a backing as far as genealogy. And I say this all the time. They'll claim Islam. They'll claim that Islam is the teachings through Ishmael, because they'll tell you, Yah took the covenant from from Isaac, and gave it to Ishmael, is what they say, which isn't backed by Torah. With that being said, though, if you ever talk to some and you ask them, are you a descendant of Ishmael? Rarely will you hear any of them claim that. They'll tell you, we just follow Ishmael. And I take them at their word, because I don't believe none of them is Shemitic for real. I think they are a mix of Japhetic people, Hamitic people, which we know the Canaanites were Hamitic. I can see it being a mix of some of that, maybe a mix of some Shemitic people, but those aren't. No, I just don't see them like that. They don't fit the description that I know of true Shemitic people, being us, the descendants of Abraham. And now you do have, once again, if you study what they call the Middle East, which is really Northeast Africa, and I think that's not stated enough, especially in awakened Israelite circles. And the reason why I say that is because we have this, I don't want to call it a debate, but there's a discussion around where we believe the land of Yah is, where we believe a lot of these things took place. And I always state, I think it's an interesting discussion, because there are many of possibilities. It's just a lot of work to be done to really bear it out. It's a much bigger discussion than I hear that's had around the subject a lot of times, because when we move things, we have to move everything. When you get to talk about moving things in the Bible, you got to move everything. With that being said, because I think there is a possibility to it, but with that being said, the reason why I say that what we call the Middle East today really being Northeast Africa, if we go like scientifically tectonic plate, if that's how you want to do it, it's not stated enough, because realistically, and it's really just from the heathen giving us these places and calling it like the Middle East, likening it to Asia. That's how the Arabic people get their sway of, we're the people of this land, because men have called that Middle East and likened it to being an Asian thing. In antiquity, when you look at it as Northeast Africa, then they don't fit, which the ones in Egypt will flat out tell you, we ain't African, but we the descendant of all these pharaohs. Really? We ain't Hamitic though. It don't even make sense. The point I'm making is, we're trying to move Africa in Africa, and it's hard for me to reconcile that. And that's why I think it's not stated enough. And maybe the conversation needs to be categorized maybe a little better, I should say. But moving Africa and Africa don't make sense to me. Call it Northeast Africa, and let's start there, because that's what it is. So when we talk about Egypt and Ethiopia, he's really talking about Mitzrayim, which is the son of Ham and his descendants. In this aspect, because there's other times where Yah will say that's, as we seen in the last chapter, he spoke about Egypt and Ethiopia, and he was talking about his people that were in these spots, talking about the Israelites that are amongst these places, which we have that too. So we have to be particular in the way we go about landmass and tribe. Egypt is also a tribe, the descendants of Mitzrayim. Ethiopia, at least the way the word is used here in scripture, is also a tribe, meaning the descendants of Cush. And it can be looked at both ways, but we have to keep that in frame, that because back in the day, what they called Middle East was called Cush, right? At least a big part of it. And even calling that Cush would have been wrong, because Yah gave that whole section to Shem. Cush is a descendant of Ham. So it's just a conversation that needs to be done the right way, in my opinion, around it. But all of this, when we talk about the Middle East and all of that, that is Northeast Africa. That's what they tell us scientifically, yet still call it the Middle East and liken it to Asia. And that's what I mean by it doesn't make sense. But he's saying the same way Isaiah has walked naked and barefoot 3 years is going to be a sign and a wonder to Egypt and to Ethiopia. Why? Because I'm about to reveal your shame, is what Yah is saying. And I'm using Isaiah to show you that this is how I'm about to do this. It says, Shosel, the king of Assyria, lead away the Egyptians prisoners and the Ethiopians captives, young and old, naked and barefoot. Just like we just read in the definition, When somebody is captured, the enemy would do that to watch them or to reveal his shame. They would make him shave his hair. A lot of times you would see in antiquity when these people would be spoils of war, even the women, they had to shave their head. The men had to shave beards and whatnot if they had them. Literally, they were trying to reveal your shame. And it was kind of like a morale thing too. It could be used as that, almost kind of like buck breaking in slavery, right? Even with their buttocks uncovered to the shame of Mitzrayim. And he said that I'm going to show the shame of this, right? Verse 5. Something else that about Yah using this, something else that needs to be stated in the way that we go about this awakening today is you have this notion that only black people can be saved, right? And the white man is the devil, and in a lot of cases he has been. As far as the oppression of people, the Oppenheimer, which is these European Jews created nuclear missiles. That's of the devil. That's something to destroy to kill mass numbers of people. Y'all ain't called us for that, right? But something else I took from this is y'all showing that I ain't just coming to judge no white folks. No, I'm gonna judge some black folks too. Contrary to popular belief within this awakening, but I'm gonna judge some black folks too. It ain't just gonna be a judgment on all the white folks and Asians. No, I'm gonna judge some black folks too. Now, and that's why we have to be particular in the tribe, because everything black ain't just of the same tribe. You have, as I know Mama Speed just left, but I know Obadiah done spent a lot of time in Africa. I think there's other people on the call who done spent a lot of time in Africa. Africa is very tribal. Everybody don't just look at everybody like, because you black, you brother. No. Africa is a very tribal place. Just like, although Europe doesn't get spoken like that, but when you study the history of Europe, Europe has been very tribal over the years. You know, now people just throw, I'm Italian at it. But when you read when you go back to antiquity, no, in Italy, it was like, no, we Chittim. We the sons of Javin. And some might be we the sons of Gomer. And some might be, no, we the sons of Ashkenazi, which is a son of Gomer. You had the Franks, and you had the Celts. You had the I don't know them all. I ain't studied it like that. I ain't finna get the line to y'all. But it was tribal. You know, now it's just I'm Ukrainian. No, it ain't always been like that in Europe either. It was tribal. Asia the same way. Asia is a little harder to pick through the tribes because Asia guards its history closer than anywhere else in the world. When you think about it, when you go in a lot of these museums, they don't have a bunch of Asian artifacts. That's just not how Asia rolls. And that's because the European has not successfully been able to conquer down in Asia in a way to steal it all and take it to their museums, realistically. And a lot of times when you see Asian, when I say Asian, I'm talking like Chinese and Taiwanese and, you know, all those different spots, Japanese and Korean. A lot of times when you go in museums and you see exhibits of theirs, typically it's something somebody donated to be seen. It's not like in Africa, as the European was in Egypt just stealing, and in Nigeria and all these spots just stealing masks and tablets, and, you know, and then you go in these museums and they got these big Mesopotamian exhibits. There's a lot of stealing that happened with that. When you see the Asian section, it's the South Koreans donated such and such and such and such for an exhibit. So, and by being like that, it's a little harder to trace the tribalness of Asia, but I know it's been tribal. Because when you study the history of China, it's named China because the Qin dynasty won X amount of wars. And I don't know all the rest of them, but they were fighting, these dynasties were families, were tribes in China. I know it's still tribal, but it's harder to put a face on the tribe in China and in Asia is what I'm saying, because of the way they guard their culture. But look at the world. We have to look at the world through that lens. So when y'all's talking about judging these nations, y'all don't care nothing about a color of skin, black, white, Asian, brown, purple. Y'all don't care nothing about that. But he do care about these tribes, these people, the blood that run through your veins. Who is your father? See, that's how in antiquity things would be looked at. Who is your father? And as I read, as he's talking about Isaiah, and he's telling them, I'm going to reveal the shame of the Egyptians. So shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians prisoners in Ethiopia. Y'all saying Now I'm going to judge some black folks too about what done went on with my chosen people Israel. It ain't just about. I'm gonna judge these white folks too, but I'm gonna judge some black folks too. I'm gonna judge some Latins from some of these populations where these indigenous people were already in the Caribbean and the Dominican and Brazil, and I'm gonna judge some of them too. As they say, man, as you know, we hear people say in pop culture, everybody's going to get some of this smoke, is what Yah saying. Ain't nobody gonna duck it. And he's speaking about these Egyptians and the Ethiopians, and he's saying, Assyria is going to lead you away. Remember, a few chapters back, Yah told us, I called Assyria for this. And that's kind of a theme today. When Yah fights for Israel, Israel is undefeated. When Yah is using another nation of Gentiles, black, white, whatever, they are undefeated. When Yah was using Egypt, Yah was using Egypt so that his glory could be seen, and that's why he was using them to oppress the Israelites in that time that were there. They were undefeated until Yah toppled them. These Assyrians. And remember, when we go back to Isaiah chapter 10, I had to go back and look this up because I remember when we were reading this. Into 10. Yes, Yah was talking about Assyria. Isaiah chapter 10, verse 5, he said, the Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. I will send him against a hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him charge. I called these Assyrians to go against Israel. Israel is the hypocritical nation at this time. Y'all done stop wanting to follow me. I done pulled y'all in this land. The land of milk and honey is plush. I done did all this for you. You don't want to follow me. You want to follow the gods. And the crazy thing about the 10 northern kingdoms before they fell, they were worshiping Assyrian gods and sending tributes to Assyria. And y'all was like, so what though? I don't like the way y'all moving though. So since you don't want to do it how I told you, and you want to follow the Assyrian, Yah's like, I'm the same people who you trying to follow and be like and look up to, I'm going to use them to take you into captivity, to oppress you, to remove you from your land. That's the hypocritical nation, is us here, to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. I'm going to use them. He says in verse 7, though, how be it though? Hold on. I called you for that. But he mean not so. Neither do his heart think so. But in his heart to destroy and cut off nations, not a few. I ain't call him for that. I used America and the transatlantic slave trade to fulfill a word. I told Moses, tell them folks, if they break this covenant, they are going into slavery on slave ships. It had to happen. I know some of us, I know, and I say this respectfully because it was traumatic. A lot of people, that hits different with different people, right? I think it's traumatic to us all in a way, but it's more traumatic to some. I know some elders who you can't even talk about slavery and Jim Crow around. Just the thought of what white people was doing to them that they had to live through is still terrifying. They don't even want to hear. So it's traumatic, right? But it had to happen because Yah was using that based off the way we were living. He told Moses, hey, these people gonna step on you. The head gonna be the tail. You gonna do this, this, and that. All the hanging in the fields and the burning at the stakes and all of that. Yah told Israel, if you don't keep this covenant, all that's coming to you. Yah does not delight in seeing that though, but it had to happen. He didn't say that they're gonna be raping your wife and selling her off, although he said a man won't really be able to enjoy his wife. He really kind of said that was gonna happen too. He kind of did say that was gonna happen too, if you think about it. He's like, I ain't gonna delight in your children, nothing. Basically, I'm gonna take the covering off you, and we're gonna see if you sink or swim when I throw you in this tumultuous water where, as he said, darkness was over the face of the deep. We're gonna see if you can make it in the face of the deep without me sending my spirit to calm this water, if you want to follow what they follow. That's really what happened, right? I ain't telling them to get to destroying and cutting off nations, though. I use this transatlantic slavery to get my people together. And hallelujah, in small number, but we coming together. That's why we here today. I did not tell them to get to destroying nations, though. And now they boast of it. They make the movie, the Oppenheimer. They boast of, we the ones created the atomic bomb. We the ones that created the precursor for what is all these nuclear missiles around the world today. And every time a nation get into it, they got them. If you don't stop, we gonna use a nuke. And it's like, oh, we better do this and do that. They got nukes, and you know that's the whole scare tactic of the world. That's why Kim Jong-un fights so hard to have them. Gaddafi gave his up. Look what happened to him. Before Gaddafi gave him up, the Europeans would have never raided his country for the fear that he would let off a nuke. He gave them nukes up. France went right in there with Barack Obama as president, which is how you know that all of that, everything black in Africa is his brothers. Because Barack Obama's Kenyan. He ain't no fool. He know that. He didn't stand up and tell France, nah, y'all should leave Gaddafi alone. He gave up his nukes. America stood by and watched France go in there. And it was Barack who, I believe, talked Gaddafi out his nukes. Some brother. But we all black, though. Some brother. I don't know. With brothers like that, I don't know. I do not know. Who need enemies if you got brothers like that? No. The nuclear missile is what dictates a lot of how this world is dictating everything as they tell us in Ukraine right now. They like, we'll come help you, Ukraine, but then Putin gets talking about, all right, I'm gonna send a nuke to London. And they like, yeah, we'll send you a little aid, but we ain't putting no boots on the crowd. That's the whole way the world go now. Who got the nukes? That's why this European Israel that's in Northeast Africa, that's how they dominate, because they're the only nation around there with nukes. So whenever you go too left with them nations, which really would overrun them without the support of these Yaphetic folks, because they're Yaphetic, that's why they support them. We got nukes. That's always the threat. Iran can't have nukes. No, Saddam got a nuke. They would have toppled a whole country, and he ain't have a slingshot. Dude had a few pistols and some tanks. They destroyed his whole nation off a rumor of a nuke. And y'all like, nah, I called you to do certain things, Assyria. I called you Babylon. I called you America. I called you European nations. I called you Rome, which is really what the European Union is really mostly the old Roman Empire. But be that as it may, because we ain't even focusing on none of that. But I called them people to do a job. I ain't tell them to get to destroying and cutting off nations, though. Y'all like, nah, that ain't, nah, you wildin'. So he's still using Assyria here. The king of Assyria shall lead away the Egyptians, the prisoners, and the Ethiopians captives. And that may even be talking about Israel that's hiding amongst them. Because Israel, from the time we left Egypt, Israel has always ran and hid there. Sometimes Yah has told them to. Most times Yah's like, no, don't go down there. No, don't do that. Jeremiah like, no, don't go down there. We got to handle this business right here. Israel was like, we going to Egypt. Yah was like, cool. I send Babylon to Egypt. You ain't. No, because I chose Babylon for a moment. Just like I chose Egypt, just like I chose Assyria, right? And they shall be afraid and ashamed of Ethiopia, their expectation. Make sure I don't miss this point. Let me make sure I don't miss this point. The Assyrians they're going to conquer. They're going to get this job done. Why? Because Yah has chosen this Gentile nation for a job. And the inhabitant of this isle shall say in that day, the word here for isle, I don't know why they used isle there, because the word here really represents country, dry land, a habitable spot, the coast, an island, yes, but a country. And the inhabitant of this country shall say in that day, behold, such is our expectation, whether we flee for help to be delivered from the king of Assyria, and how shall we escape? And in the Septuagint, it says that a little better. Verse 6 again, and they that dwell in this country shall say in that day, behold, now I'm just speaking of what Isaiah's talking about in this actual moment that he's talking in, right? Behold, we trust to flee to them for help. Who? The Egyptians and the Ethiopians. We trust to flee to them for help. Who could not save themselves from the king of the Assyrians? And how shall we be saved? No, because Yah chose Assyria for this job. Yah chose Assyria for this job. And he's like, how we gonna be saved if they couldn't even save themselves? We running down there, we running from the Assyrians, we running here from the Babylonians, and same thing, we ran to Egypt. Like I said, Yah was like, nah, You ain't running down there either. You ain't running down there either. Y'all like, nah. Why? Because Yah has chosen Assyria for this job. If you look at the history of the world, everywhere where Israel has been a slave, and that nation has always been the most powerful nation in the world. Whether it be Egypt, it was the most powerful nation in the world at the time. The Babylonians, when we were in servitude there, about 100 years, give or take, from Isaiah when he's saying this, Babylon was the most powerful nation in the world. The Persians, when they came through, they had conquered all of what they call the known world, and we were up under them in servitude. Same with the Greeks. When they came through, the book of the Maccabees from the Apocrypha, the Greeks were in power of all of what we would call the known world, although they never conquered down into what we would call Ethiopia today, the landmass. Now, who all were there at the time, that's a study. But they never conquered any further south into Africa, in my opinion, than that. I don't believe. Same with the Romans. Now, we know now when colonialism come through, it spread through all of the world. There's big parts of this world colonized, be from Asia, Africa, whoever. That's how Christianity got so big. The colonials took that with them. As a form of white supremacy, they forced this white Messiah on everybody. In Jesus' name, you know, this is how you go. That's how we got it. That's how everybody got it. And Yah is saying here, how you gonna trust and flee to these people for help? They can't even save themselves from not just the Assyrian, but whatever nation I choose, whatever nation I'm using. And just some background of this, right? Get on my horse here. We got some reading to do. Just some background of this. 2 Kings 17, 1-5. In 2 Kings 17, it says, in the 12th year Ahaz, king of Yehuda, which is Hezekiah's father, began YeshaYahu, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. So the 10 northern tribes are still there. And we did this at the beginning of Isaiah. The 10 northern kingdoms fall in Hoshea's 9th year, I believe, to reign. So it's saying at the beginning of his reign here, right? And he did that which was evil in the sight of Yah, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. So all of the kings, I don't think there was any king. Once Israel split into two kingdoms, the north and the south is where Jerusalem or Yehuda was with Benjamin. And understand, when we talk about Israel, all of our people lived amongst all of our people everywhere. So just because Yah said you Gad and you here, that don't mean everybody from Gad just stayed there. People from Gad was marrying people from Dan and Naphtali. Naphtali was marrying Yehuda. Like, just because you were a different tribe, it was all from the bloodline of Jacob and Israel. So it was still, you know, just because you was from Yehuda didn't mean that you married a wife from Yehuda. So we were spread amongst everybody. And we seen that in Judges when we were reading that it was a person from Yehuda moved to Samaria and they made him a priest. He knew he wasn't supposed to be a priest because the Levites was called to be the priest. But be that as it may, don't, as I talk about northern tribes, your southern tribes, don't necessarily look at it like everybody was restricted to a spot. Israel was everywhere amongst Israel, but these are just the plots of land that Yah gave certain tribes, and you couldn't sell it. So if all else failed, come back home to your fatherland that Yah gave you, and it was still, it still should have been there for you. Part of the problem with Israel was they got to taking each other's land, selling the land, beating the poor out the land, and y'all like, nah, you can't. How you gonna beat somebody out of something that I gave them? Israel, you acting like the nations. So I'm gonna remove this covering and I'm gonna use the Assyrians to check your temperature. And you ain't ready for them. Just like when I'm fighting for you, they ain't ready for you. It says, and this king did which was evil in Israel. And against him came up Shalmaneser, I could be wrong, king of Assyria. And YeshaYahu became his servant and gave him presents. See? They was worshiping their gods and all that, paying tribute to them. And y'all still gonna tell Assyria, go in and take that land and move them people out of there because they ain't doing what I told them. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in YeshaYahu, for he had sent messengers to king of Egypt. He got slick. Look, we tired of paying these Assyrians, man. Y'all come help us. And he brought no presents to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. The Egyptians couldn't help him. You know why? Because Yah chose Assyria for this job. A Gentile nation, Yah chose them for a job. But remember, I ain't tell you to go on down there trying to conquer nations, though. America, I did not tell you to be all in Vietnam and Korea, invading Iraq, which is really ancient Ur and Babylon, based off of, just what we know. It could be different. I ain't tell you to go in there and kill Saddam and destroy them people nation, and they ain't even got no nukes. I ain't tell you to do all that. No, you got to doing that on your own. No. These Oppenheimer, you European Jews, you created this missile, and now you use America to police who can have it. That's really what's going on. Now you use America and the rest of the European nations who all have these missiles. Now they want to police who can own an Oppenheimer. I guarantee you, it's some European Jews somewhere who don't like the fact that movie out and that the world now is like these Jews created the nuclear bomb. They try to distance themselves from that, just like they try to distance themselves from the hand they played in the transatlantic slave trade. No, you can't say that. But yet when you study the history, they played a big hand in the transatlantic slave trade. They funded a lot of it. One of the first one of the first auction houses in South Carolina was owned by a European Jew from Spain, I believe, called Andrew Lopez in South Carolina. Look it up. When the Confederate War broke out, I think his name was Philip Benjamin Yehuda, was like the secretary of the Confederate Army. And the story was that because it was a lot of European Jews in the South who had slaves, who was benefiting off the cotton and the different things that we were down there getting for them folks. They was down there with plantations getting that money too. And they were down there fighting to keep their slaves too. And it was high-ranking European Jews amongst the Confederacy. They try to distance themselves from that, but it's a history of it. No, you played a hand. And y'all like, I used America for that. I ain't tell you to go try to conquer Vietnam or to be all in the Korean War. I didn't tell you that. I used the Assyrian. YeshaYahu tried to go to Egypt, and y'all like, no, he found you out, shut you up, and then what? Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. Just to show you, as it said in Isaiah, the last verse, we run into these people for help. They can't even save themselves. They can't even save themselves. Hallelujah. They can't even save themselves, right? Next verse, 2 Kings 18:21. I'm trying to paint a picture. Now, behold, 2 Kings chapter 18, verse 21. It says, now, behold, thou trust upon the staff of this bruised reed. What bruised reed? Egypt. On which if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, unto all that trust unto him. Yah's telling them, and we see in verse 22, but if you say unto me, we trust in Yahuwah our Elohim, is not that he whose high places whose altars Hezekiah have taken away. Meaning when Hezekiah, because Ahaz was one of the wicked kings of the south, Hezekiah's son, when he came through, he took away all these high places and places where they were worshiping these other gods. That's what it's saying there. It said, don't trust into that. Yah's like, no, say you trust into the Elohim of the covenant I made with your people. Same thing he's saying to us today. Stop saying you trust in America. Stop saying you trust in these systems, these governments, these countries where you've been spread around the world. These people who if we don't know nothing, you've been oppressed by these people in these lands. If we don't know nothing, you know that. And now, not even 100 years, like we 65 years from Jim Crow. Like, it ain't even been 100 years these people were still oppressing you, playing you on. You was 3/5 of a man. You wasn't even a man. And now you trust them? No, y'all like Hezekiah, you need to turn back to Yah. Y'all telling us today, y'all need to tell people, y'all need to turn back to this covenant that your ancestors made with me, because that's the real security. And he have said to Yehuda and Jerusalem, You shall worship before this altar in Jerusalem. Verse 23, now therefore, I pray thee, give pledges to my Lord, the king of Assyria. This person is talking to these, so this is a messenger from Assyria. He's talking to some messengers. Assyria now, after it's done, and I believe, yes, at this time, they've conquered the 10 northern kingdoms. They get cocky, like we're going to go conquer Jerusalem and Yehuda and Benjamin too. So they sent a messenger, or Hezekiah sent messengers to talk to the captain of this army. And that's what he's telling them. And that's what he's telling them. Like, give pledges to the king of Assyria, and I will deliver thee 2,000 horses if thou be able on thy part to set riders upon them. I believe that's who was talking here. The point of all of this is trust in Yah. Don't be trusting in Egypt and all of that, right? Now, Yah was using Assyria for the 10 northern kingdoms. Yah didn't tell them to go take Jerusalem. And that's the point of what I'm trying to get to here. That's the point of what I'm trying to get to. Because it's like, okay, Yah's like, okay. Yah's like, okay, where are we at? 18. Yah's like, okay, I used you. And the point of this is, Yah used a nation, right, against his own people. And he'll strengthen that nation the same way he strengthened Israel. When Yah tell a nation, look, go do this, the nation is undefeated, just like Israel is undefeated when Yah fights for them. That's just how it go. But there is a difference. There is a difference. So now Assyria calls itself about to conquer Jerusalem too. It done conquered the 10 northern tribes. Yah used them for that. They, as we see, they conquering other nations. They stopping Egypt. They stopping whoever, because Yah done gave them this power. Same way Egypt was big and bad when we was there, although we was fighting with them too. Same way here. We fight for these people who done oppressed us to defend freedom. A Negro never fought. I just never. I understand that we do things ignorantly, but like, we fight to preserve freedom here, where just thinking of like World War II and those wars back then, well, we ain't even free. I don't understand. Well, I do understand that because the crafty council is a strong hand, but no, we ain't fighting up. Oh, no freedom in a place where we ain't free. Well, anyway, he's called Assyria for this, but Assyria's down in Jerusalem now. We're going to conquer that too. And as you see, the prophet Isaiah, who we're in the prophet Isaiah, he lives amongst the time of Hezekiah. He's going to talk to him like, you good. No, y'all say no. That ain't how it's going to work. So when we get down to Isaiah chapter 19, verse 20, I'm going to open it up for any questions or comments about this after this. But when we get down to Isaiah, not Isaiah, when we get down to 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 20, right? We see that crazy. 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 20. It says, Then YeshaYahu, the son of Amos, sent to Hezekiah, saying, Thus saith the Most High Yah of Israel, that which thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib, king of Assyria, I have heard. Full stop. Whenever you get that, this is why we have to pray without ceasing, because as you're learning who you are and changing things, you may not be perfect, but we're striving for perfection. Don't get it twisted. Don't lean on the idea that nobody is perfect. No, that ain't what Yah called us to do. Yah ain't called you to lean on the idea that ain't nobody perfect. We're striving towards perfection every day. Perfection is a process. It takes time, but we're striving towards perfection every day. And he's saying, we pray without ceasing, because as we take on that journey, as we take off the yoke of bondage and put on the yoke of Yah, right? You pray without ceasing because now Yah hear you. Now Yah hear you. This is why you pray without ceasing, because, and Yah answers all prayers. Like he told Moshe, I deal with who I deal with. It ain't for you to figure out who in sin and what level on the balance is. You know, the way sin is weighed on the balance. You don't know. So I may even deal with a sinner. We seen in Jasher, he dealt with Zepho. We see, if you go all the way back in Jasher, at first Nimrod would pray to Yah, and Yah would bless him in war. But then Nimrod would turn around and be like, man, whatever. Yah will help a sinner. Yah has blessed sinners in life. That it happens like that. Rahab, Yah done bless some other people, right? Yah done bless some Israelites who've been in sin. But the difference is, as we correct ourselves, we know that Yah is hearing us. This is why he tells us to pray without ceasing, because he has heard. Hezekiah is one of the good kings, faithful. He sent Isaiah to tell him, man, don't worry. Yah said he heard you. This is the word that Yah have spoken concerning him. The virgin, the daughter of Zion, hath despised thee and laughed thee to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem hath shaken her head at thee. Whom hast thou reproached and blasphemed? And against whom hast thou exalted thy voice and lifted up thine eyes on high? Even against the Holy One of YeshaYahu. And just think, Hezekiah, you may be a good king. These people ain't all necessarily good. Israel, the ones of you now, even though the 10 northern kingdoms are going into captivity, some of y'all in Jerusalem filed too. But I'm giving you a chance, right? And you blaspheme against me. You speak against the Holy One of YeshaYahu, which is Yah, right? Today, some of our people we around, we like, man, YeshaYahu, he was a black man, he our brother, he was the Messiah, and blah, blah, blah. And we the people of the book. And some people like, I don't hear all that. You a lie. We from Kemet. Look at it like that. It's the same difference. By the messengers, he say, thou hast reproached Yah, and has said, with the multitude of my chariots, I am come up to the height of the mountains, to the sides of Lebanon, and will cut down the tall cedar trees thereof, and the choice fir trees thereof, and I will enter into lodges of his borders, and into the forest of his Carmel. So he's talking about the daughters of Jerusalem that was talking jazz. He talked about us, but now he's also talking about the Assyrian, who I chose. I'm the reason why you big and bad and Egypt can't see you and the Ethiopians can't see you, which is the Cushite and the nation of Elam, and because you got other nations around. The Babylonians are still around, and I'm the reason why they can't see you. And now you down here like you just told Hezekiah, don't be saying you worshiping Yah. Say you gonna do what we do, send tribute to Assyria, and we'll make sure you good. And Yah comes back with Isaiah to talk to Hezekiah like, hold on. This is what you go tell Hezekiah. I have digged and drunk strange waters, and with the sole of my feet have I dried up all the rivers of besieged places. This is what Yah said in the Assyrian. He's recounting, and we didn't just read it in 17 and 18, but this is what the Assyrians have been sending message to Hezekiah saying, we gonna do this, we gonna do that. What you gonna do? Right? Yah, Isaiah is recounting it. Basically letting him know, Yah heard them too. Yah heard them too. Hast thou not heard long ago? I have done it, of ancient times that I have formed it. Now have I brought it to pass that thou should be to lay waste fenced cities into ruinous heaps. Therefore their inhabitants were of small power. They were dismayed and confounded. They were as the grass of the field, sound like us today, and as green herb, and as the grass of the housetops, and as the corn blasted before it be grown up, sound like us today. Basically, they've been ran over, trodden down. Okay. But I know thy abode and thy going out, and not coming in, and thy rage against me. Y'all like, okay, you big and bad, you talking what you gonna do, my people, okay. But I hear your rage against me. Because thy rage against me and the tumult has come up into my ears. I chose you, Assyria. I chose you, Egypt. I chose you, Persia. I chose you, Rome. I chose you, Greece. I chose you, America. I allowed you to be propped up with my people there. Because if don't nobody in the world know where there's been no slaves, like you got to look at it from a world. Yah speaks to the world. It may be somebody in Thailand who he don't even know that the slave ships got off in Brazil. It's people in Africa who may not know that, because and then a lot of the spots they don't teach slavery like that. But everybody know that you Negroes got off in America. You know why? Because America is the nation everybody's trying to be in line with, get money with, be in tune with. Everybody know. The Vietnamese was telling it to our people and the soldiers there when they were captured. Why you fighting for them? Them people oppress you. That's why they weren't feeling Muhammad Ali. The Viet Cong ain't never called me a nigga. Y'all heard him. Ali was like, the Viet Cong ain't never called me a nigga. I ain't going over there and fight nobody. They was saying that. You didn't hear, there's stories of black soldiers over there getting caught by them, and they was like, why is y'all fighting for them, man? Them people oppress you. They knew. It's black soldiers in World War II who was bumping into Germans, and Germans were saying the same thing. Why is y'all over here mad at what we doing to whatever we doing in Germany? America don't love you. You going back, you in Jim Crow. And some may try to tell you that's a lie. Hitler wasn't saying that. You know how you know that wasn't a lie? Because look at the Berlin Olympics in 1936 with Jesse Owens. What did Hitler say about him? He said, how dare America come run this nigger against my people? We the superior Aryan nation. And y'all come run this slave, monkey, gorilla, spook nigger against us? How dare you? Jesse Owens with everything. Hitler like, damn. That was crazy. Hitler went back to Germany and was like, yo, wow, we ain't really that. I say this, some people have heard me say this. I mean this, and I can't prove this, but I mean this. I believe at that moment, Hitler was like, that's the chosen people of that book right there. Because he knew they over there eating government cheese. You calling them 3/5 of a man. They don't got health care. I think the GI Bill by that time might have been made by Roosevelt, may not, but they didn't benefit from that. They don't benefit from nothing. Spanish flu, 1919. Black Americans didn't have no health care or nothing. You know a bunch of our people died during that. Wasn't no masks, wasn't no vaccines. I'm just playing. I ain't telling none of y'all to go do nothing great. You feel me? But you know a bunch of our people died during that. Same way we was dying with diabetes then. We was dying with hypertension and bad hearts then. Why? Because we was eating pork. We had a slave diet then. It ain't never changed. No, Hitler and them knew that. They was telling them black soldiers, why is you over here worried about what's going on in Germany? Boy, you going home and they hanging you. Emmett Till, Black Wall Street in Tulsa had something to do with some soldiers. It's many a story of soldiers coming back from World War II thinking they was going to honor him, and he got his ass killed in that uniform because he was somewhere thinking he got too much love for them white folks. It's many stories, and Hitler and them was telling that to them soldiers. Them Germans was telling them that. Why is you over here worried about us? Your war need to be there. They was telling them that. That's been known. That's why America has been used. Because if don't nobody know, everybody in the world know them black people in America got off a slave ship. That's why that's why Yah's using it in the manner that he using it. Because everybody know. This is why he's using Assyria. Because everybody in the land know, wow, they went up against the 10 northern kingdoms and they carried them away from their land. Wow. And Yah saying, because thou rage against me and thy tumult has come up into mine ears, therefore I will put my hook in thy nose and my bridle in thy lips, and I will turn thee back by the way by which thou came. I chose you. Y'all like, I chose you for this. But you done went too far. And when I choose you, you take your army. I'm going to make it plain and easy for you, but you got to go do some fighting. You got to go fight and move these people around. But now I'm finna show you, hey, it bring a tear to my eye to think about it, because he's telling them, what he's trying to tell them right here is, now I'm finna show you how I'm coming for Israel, though, when they get their mind right, though. Verse 29, and this shall be a sign unto thee. You shall eat this year such things as grow of themselves, and in the second year, that which spring of the same, and in the third year, sow you and reap and plant vineyards and eat the fruits thereof. And the remnant that is escaped of the house of Yehuda shall yet again take root downward and bear fruit upward. I think that's a future prophecy, but be that as it may. For out of Jerusalem there shall go forth a remnant. And they that escape out of Mount Zion, the zeal of Yahuwah of hosts shall do this. It's going to be because of me. No, not because of men, not because of your own, not because of what you did and you worked and you went to school and you got money and we buying businesses now. So we buying all this farm land and we gonna make it. I heard an Israelite the other day. I ain't gonna lie, I change every day with this awakening. My new pet peeve with this awakening is all these Negroes who supposed to be awakening but got that fear doctrine. Pull your money out the banks. The dollar's about to fall. Fill up with all this water. Oh my God, it's getting terrible. Negro, you scared. These Negroes are scared. I promise you they is. They can't lie to me. Oh, like, yeah, we the Hebrews and y'all got us. I hear fear on this awakening. I stand on that. I don't care who it is. And I don't care if none of y'all don't feel me when you hear whoever you listen to say it. Know to hear my voice when you listen to whoever you listen to. When they get to talking like that, he's scared. Don't be scared like him. How you gonna be telling Israelites they need to stack water and all that? Most of this awakening is a bunch of poor niggas in the projects and women with 4 kids by 4 baby daddies who don't do nothing, and y'all done woke her up. She ain't even got no money. How she gonna stack some water? I remember Negroes was like, you better get a passport. We need to run to Africa. Y'all gonna destroy. How? Most Negroes who done woke up in America to this awakening is poor. How you gonna do that? So basically you telling us y'all only gonna save who got a few dollars. That's a lie. I don't believe that. Negroes who say that scared. Negroes who say that scared. I ain't hearing that. I hear fear. And I know a lot of Negroes who do that. Don't never hear them talk about leaning on y'all. They leaning on their bug out bag. You scared. You scared. And I got a bug out bag. And if it get real, just like Hamashiach told him, if it go down and me, Shelly, and Ariel in the car, I ain't coming home to get it. I'm driving right off. Don't even come off your roof. What he said, if you in the field, don't even go home. Just get loose. And that's what we gonna do. Exactly. I don't even think of all the ox in prison, because you better believe the awakening is in these jails. That's a lot of times the only place y'all can get the attention of a black man. He got to go to prison. I got to take him away from all this nonsense. That I tell you, and I know this, I did a year in the penitentiary for those of y'all who do not know. I did a year in the penitentiary. I know I may not come off that way, but it was a real year. One thing I know about the penitentiary, that's the only time a Negro will sit down and listen to you, though. You can talk about anything. You got all attention all day. I know that for a fact. A Negro may never hear nothing you say. Talk to somebody who in jail, because he ain't got nothing but time. He'll talk to you for hours about God. Get right out and be thugging. He ain't heard nothing you said. But when he in jail, oh, he read the Bible. That's why Negroes come out swole. Negroes ain't in jail just working out because it's dangerous. Now, you do got some penitentiaries that's dangerous, but most of them ain't that dangerous, man. Most of these Negroes come home swole because ain't nothing else to do. Let's go to the gym. Might as well work out. That's why I was swole. I had nothing else to do. Might as well go work out. If I could play PlayStation and go to the club, I wouldn't have been in no gym. I tell you, man. These Negroes are scared. Know that. Talking to a bunch of poor people. You scaring a bunch of poor elders. How she gonna stack a bunch of water and get a passport and pull up? What money? She ain't even got no money in the bank. She living check to check. 2 kids. Baby daddy who don't want to come do nothing. Y'all done woke her up to the truth. How she gonna do that? That's a scary doctrine. That's my new pet peeve in the awakening, man. It's a bunch of these Negroes are scared. And Yah said, because out of Jerusalem is going to be a remnant. Why? Because the zeal of Yah going to do it, not your bug out bag. Therefore, thus saith, and now when I say that, I ain't mad at you for having that. Ain't nothing wrong with trying to prepare if you can. But if you leaning on that, you scared. In my opinion, I don't care who you is. You scared. You scary. Stay away. Matter of fact, I don't even want to hear that. Stay away from me. You scary. I don't need you teaching Ariel that, because I'm teaching her to be bold with nothing. Ariel, you straight. That's what we teaching over here. You ain't got to have nothing and you straight. So you can't even bring that scary doctrine around me. I don't need that to rub off on my daughter. Ain't none of that. Therefore, thus saith the Most High Yah concerning the king of Assyria. He shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with shield, nor cast a bank against it. By the way that he came, by the same shall he return, and shall not come into this city, saith Yah. So now think. For I will defend this city to save it for you, Israel, because y'all black, because you in slavery, because it's been hectic, because whatever the case, because they lock you up unjustly. No, I ain't coming to do it for none of that. I'm coming to do it for my own sake. That's why you woke now. Why? Because I'm doing it because I told Abraham I was going to do it for him. I ain't coming to get none of you Negroes for nothing. Y'all ain't even on nothing. For real. You ain't got to know you know Israelite to know that you ain't got no business selling no dope to your own mama and them and destroying your own family. You ain't got to know nothing about no awakening to know that's wrong. You ain't got to know nothing about no awakening than to be out Negro and you would kill another black man because y'all from the same block, but his colors he wears. What? You ain't got to know you know Israelite to know that that's silly. No, I ain't doing it for you. No, I ain't doing it for you. I ain't doing it for you. You ain't got to be awakened to know that I ain't got no business sleeping with that married man or that married woman. No. You ain't got to know you know Israelite to know that. Y'all said I'm gonna do it for my own sake and for who? I'm gonna say Jerusalem. Why? Because just like Abraham, my servant Dawid said, no, my servant Dawid, and he sinned. His sins is legendary. Y'all had to kill 70,000 Israelites or something playing with Dawid. What is you doing number in mind, man? Sent the plague through Jerusalem, killed 70,000 Israelites. What is you doing? He like, what is you doing? But I'm going to do it for Dawid's sake. My own sake, Dawid's sake. I'm coming to get a remnant to y'all because I told Abraham I was. I ain't coming because of you. And stop being scared, man. Y'all so scary, man. You Israelites are so scary. Swear y'all so bold, though. Take off on these corners, call everybody out their name. Forever talking about you gathering all these guns, though. You gonna shoot your way out. You scared. No, not an arrow will be shot there, nor a shield is going to come there, nor cast a bank against it. These Assyrians ain't gonna do nothing. Mind you, I chose Assyria, though. This is why he's so big and bad. He didn't went into these lands. I done helped him conquer it. I was helping Babylon conquer. I was helping the Persians conquer. I was helping the Greeks conquer. I was helping the Romans conquer. I done helped America build itself up. I ain't tell you to create the Oppenheimer and get to setting off nukes, though. All right, now you thought of it yourself to get to trying to destroy nations. So this is what I'm gonna show Assyria. I done chose you, you big and bad. Verse 35. This is how I'm coming for Israel, though. And it came to pass that night that the angel of Yah went out. It came to pass that night that the angel of Yah went out and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 100, a score is 20, 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. This is how I'm coming for Israel. I might have chose you. That's how I'm coming for Israel. Just because I chose you, don't get out your body. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt in Nineveh. And it came to pass as he was worshiping in the house of let's see. I don't even want to look that up. Nesrach, I don't know. His God, something he was worshiping. That Adramelech and Sharezer, his sons, smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Armenia. That's interesting. And Asarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead. Not only did I send an angel, killed 185,000 of y'all. So first off, imagine that. We partying. We got Jerusalem surrounded. We didn't cut off the water flow. We finna starve them out. They got to come see us. That's what they thinking. They go to sleep at the party and yeah, we got this. We just took their brothers into captivity. We done stomped out a bunch of other nations. They probably ain't worshiping Yah, but Yah's the reason why they doing it, right? He called them for this. They big and bad. Man, they go to sleep, wake up, it's 185,000 soldiers dead in the camp. Boy, the king woke up like, no, pack this up, man. We ain't finna. That's how y'all coming for Israel. You ain't got to do nothing but what? Put on sackcloth, repent, worship me. You don't need a pistol. You don't need a bug out bag. You don't need a shed of water, which you can't even keep water for that long. I don't even understand that. But hey, yo, you don't need none of that. You don't need none of that. Because why? Because this is how I'm coming for Israel against a nation that I chose to do this. America, you on the clock. Any questions or comments about Isaiah chapter 20 or any of this, man, before I got to knock out this last chapter because he's going to show us this is how I'm coming for Israel. Chapter 21 is him saying, not only did I do that, but this is how I'm going to come for Israel in the end. Anything anybody want to add to any of this? Isaiah chapter 20. This is Yah trying to show us. I chose you, Assyria. But there's levels to this. You still like the chosen people, and you done got cocky against them based off what I done for you. So let me show you. And by showing you, let me show the world. I may choose you for a time so that my glory can be seen in your nation, upon my people, though. Don't get cocky, though, because this is how I'm coming for mine. Anything anybody want to add to any of that before I move on? This is how I'm coming. Y'all ain't playing about here. And y'all got to remember that. Y'all ain't playing about you. Stay faithful. No matter what's going on, stay faithful. Continue to address yourself. I see my uncle on the call. We was having that conversation. The first thing we got to do, we got to address ourselves. We don't know you don't owe nobody, no earthly person an explanation about you as a grown man or woman. But you do owe Yah, and you owe yourself. Correct yourself. That's one of the first things you learn as an Israelite. We got to be able to go correct ourselves. You know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing. I try to correct myself all the time. I done got better. I don't have to correct myself as often as I used to, but it's still a correction that need to be done. Don't get it twisted. Hallelujah. Okay, ain't nobody got none. Okay. Hallelujah. Yeah, y'all just showed Assyria. Like, this is how I'm coming. So then verse 20, when I got to verse 20, I'm like, chapter 21, I'm sorry. And we're not going to do all of chapter 21, just the first 11 verses. But when you get to chapter 21, this is when y'all really get the flex of like, not only you, Assyria, but let me make sure everybody know. Remember, y'all don't do nothing that we don't know. That go for the Gentile too. Y'all don't do none of them that they don't know. Y'all ain't just killing Gentiles and it's just like, oh, everybody did it. No, y'all make sure you know this is what you did. This is what's coming. And I did it. Now, through history and these civilizations, you might not don't want to put no respect on my name when it come to it. That's your business. But I revealed to you what was coming. I revealed to you what was coming. Well, I'll give you a prime example. As Yah comes back and destroys this European-centric hold on the world, right? They may say they don't know why. But especially in Europe, which is a Christian nation, you do know why. Because Pilate, who was a Roman, which was representing Europe, they was representing the world really, but directly representing the Europeans, y'all killed my son. It's 2,000 years later, but you got the answer for that. I made my children answer. They said, let his blood be on our hands and on our children. I made them answer. They've been on the run. Ever since they said that, they've been on the run. Hey, that show you how bad, that show you how bad Yah was with Israel for that stunt. From the moment them people said, let his blood be on our hands and on our children, let's just say he died 36, 40. It really wasn't dead. It would have been more like, let's just say he died 30 AD, right? We said, let his blood be on our hands and on our children. Y'all said, okay, cool. Okay. And he let it be known, I heard you. The earth shook, the eclipse for 3 hours. I rose the dead. They walked in the city amongst you. The temple was destroyed, broke up. I ripped the veil. I did it. I went above and beyond to make sure. Pilate and them might not have completely understood that, although they were scared, like, whoa, what is going on here? But you Israelites know, because that was scripture, right? You said, and I showed you right when you said it. That was me letting you know. I heard you, Israel. Let's just say that was 30 AD. 40 AD, Jerusalem fall to the Romans. There's never been a black Israel ever since then, quote unquote. I don't really like the term black either, but quote unquote, right? Look at the history of true Israel ever since 70 AD. We've been on the run ever since. Rome, 70 AD fall. They built the Colosseum in Rome in 72 AD. They said, when you study the history of it, it was slaves. They said that the slaves and the different people in that, I can't even think of the name, man. I'm drawing a blank. What am I looking for? It was slaves. It was, I can't even think of the name, but it was, it was slaves, man. They built the Colosseum in Rome in 72 AD. Y'all have seen the movies behind the Colosseum, Gladiator. It was slaves and all that in there fighting, right? Who was fighting in there? Who started that? Us. Now in the movies, you see all these Europeans in there fighting and Maximus from man, that was us in there, man. Those was the slaves that built it. Who was being sent out? We know we were being sent out by the end because James started his book in the New Testament to the Israelites, not just Judah, not just Yehuda, to the Israelites who have been scattered worldwide. At that time, Rome was in control of all of the known world. Us. And we said that, put his blood on our hands. Y'all was like, cool, 70 AD, you've been in trouble. Really since before then, because Masada happened in 66, I believe, AD, when the Romans fought against some of our people. It was a rebellion. They killed all of them. A lot of them ate each other and they starved them out. It's a sad scene. But what y'all saying is, my people I made pay immediately. They've been paying ever since 2,000 years, 1,950 years, which is how I get the number of next year being the 400th year. But be that as it may, when he comes and judges these nations in the end, a lot of these people gonna say, why are you doing us like that? And what Yah's trying to say is that reason. And being that Europe is a Christian Catholic stronghold, you know why. You may not be able to put two and two together, but I sent that word to let you know why. My people already paid. Your payment is coming. And the only reason I didn't pay you then is because my word is true. I said the Gentiles is going to trot all this down for X amount of time. That day about up. Matter of fact, I'll go on limb and say we watching the end of that day already. Now, I don't know how close we is because we know a day with y'all is 1,000 years. This may be 100, 200-year process. This may be whatever. But we coming to the end of that. We seeing that unravel now. This Eurocentric hold on the world, we watching that collapse now. And Mystery Babylon is bigger than Europe. It's a worldwide thing. We're watching the system of the world right now collapse, be it through the talk of what they call climate change, which we know is Yah heating up the planet like it is. These storms is getting stronger. These earthquakes is getting more, that's Yah. No, we watching disease, plague, COVID, whatever. When you look in the health things, journals, boy, they fear the next plague. COVID was just an eye opener. Listen to it. These people fear the next plague. If Bill Gates don't say nothing, what he say? It's something worse than that coming. I don't care what else he say. His chip, his fake meat, whatever. That's what Negroes who scared do. Whatever, heathen, whatever. But I do hear him say, oh, it's another plague we think coming. As these ice caps is melting and they talk about some diseases that was trapped in the ice. Boy, these people fear everything. We watching it come to an end in slow-mo to an Israelite who paying attention. The world is collapsing in slow motion to an Israelite who paying attention right now. I promise it is. And some of you I know see it like that. It's collapsing in slow motion. To everybody else, it's like, man, we got to get this water. No. More power to you, but no, that ain't what we finna do. It's collapsing in slow motion. Isaiah chapter 21, verse 1, the burden, and we're going to have to do some Septuagint for this because they kind of get the wild in here. You see the translation get a little screwed. Isaiah chapter 21, verse 1, the vision of the desert, the burden, the prophecy. As though a whirlwind should pass through the desert, coming from a desert, even from such a land. Desert. In the sense of a drive in a pasture, an open field, a desert, a wilderness. In the KJV, it says the burden of the desert of the sea. The sea. The Mediterranean, sometimes a large river, locally, the west or the south. I'm not going to take this angle, but I thought that was interesting considering that we know when hurricanes come here, they start in Africa, they come across the Atlantic to the west, and they destroy everything that's in its path. And Yah basically is saying, Yah is saying in so many words in verse 1, The burden will pass through with chaos and force like a whirlwind, is what he's saying. Verse 2. So a fearful and grievous vision was declared to me. So Isaiah in this part, he's like, that's the first time we've heard him say that too. This was a treacherous vision, scary. Grievous vision, he called it. Why? What is grievous? Kashet is the word. Severe, cruel, a heavy, rough. This was tough. This was a tough one for him to see. I must go out on limb. I'm gonna say early. Reason why I thought this one was tough for him, because he saw the end. Mind you, this is 700 BC. We just seen him give a time of Sargon, 700 BC, right? And this vision was so tough for Isaiah because he saw cars and buildings and people dying and spaceships and planes falling to the ground. And he woke up from this dream and was like, yo, what was that? Oh my God, that would scare somebody at that time who ain't never seen nothing but a chariot and a camel and a horse. He see a plane fall out the sky with people on it dying and burning. This was a fearful vision, he said. Grievous declared. And what did he say? In the vision, what was declared unto him? He that is treacherous will deal treacherously. You can't be hot and cold, as Hamashiach said. You can't be lukewarm. Either you're going to strive for righteousness or you're not. You can't be wicked talking about you striving for righteousness. That ain't how I go. The transgressor transgresses. And all of you know it. A person who's sinning, he can't even lie to you. You see that coming because Yah has given you the eyes to see. The Elamites are upon me, and the ambassadors of the Persians come against me. Now will I groan and comfort myself. He like, yo, this vision was terrible. I saw the Elamites, they had a part, which I don't know who the Elamites would be today. The Persians played a part. I know the Iranians, what is Iran, was still the nation of Persia until sometime in the last few hundred years, maybe not even that long. But they gonna play a part, he's saying in this vision. He like, oh no, all of them gonna play a part. It's parts to be played. Verse 3 in the KJV. Therefore are my loins filled with pain, my stomach hurt, my side, and the pain have taken hold upon me, as the pangs of a woman at travail or is pregnant. Like this is somebody who really in pain from fear. I was bowed down at the hearing of it. I was dismayed at the seeing of it. And we see in the KJV, he said, I dealt wrongfully that I might not hear. I hasted that I might not see. Isaiah was like, this was so real. Isaiah was like, this was so real that I thought to go see it. So y'all wouldn't even choose me to see it. How real is that? As you see, the word here for bow down is avah. It means to do amiss, to bow down, to make crooked, to commit iniquity. Isaiah was like, I thought of a way I might could go sin just so y'all wouldn't find me worthy to see it. Which remember, in Isaiah chapter 6, he told the angel, I am an unclean man. So he ain't be on the thought. Let's make sure we get that out of our mind. He done already said himself, I know I'm unclean. And Isaiah like, man, I thought to go do something foul just so y'all say you're not even worthy. I was dismayed at the sight. He said, I was dismayed at the sight. That's how real this vision was. Verse 4, my heart panted. Fearfulness affrighted me. Man, my heart was hurt. I was so scared, my heart was hurt, right? The night of my pleasure hath he turned into fear upon me. I was chilling. I was somewhere chilling. Everything was good. And y'all showed me this vision and it threw me off. Some of you have moments like that where everything will be cool. You with the family and you kick back and y'all say something to you, or you will have a dream, or you will be reading a scripture. You know, you'll be having a good day. You know what? I got a few minutes. Let me sit down and read the Bible. And you will read a scripture and y'all tell you that's you. And it'll throw you off for the rest of the day. That's what just happened to him. Because y'all gave him this vision. And he like, nah. That's why I say he's seen the last days. Something that, mind you, Isaiah done been to heaven is talked about. He done been to the Shemaim, saw angels, the throne of Yah, Hamashiach. We read the martyrdom of Isaiah. And he detailed that. I saw Hamashiach descend. He told me his name. All of this is why the devil wanted him killed. All of this book, remember that, right? Isaiah done seen a lot. And this particular vision was like beyond him. Isaiah, like, that's beyond me. Verse 5, prepare the table. So after this, he like, prepare the table, watching the watchtower. And I had this highlighted for me for a reason, right? Prepare the table. Prepare the table, watching the watchtower. Eat, drink, arise, you princes, and anoint the shield. The word here for eat, a call, devour, dine, freely, right? Consume. Prepare the table, watching the watchtower, consume. The word for drink, shatah, to imbibe, banquet, right? Certainly drink or banquet. And I know when I went to the ancient, this word meant HV, feast, a time of sitting together and drinking. Consume, feast, be jovial. Prepare the table, watching the watchtower, consume, feast, the word for arise. What does the word here for arise mean? Kum. It means lift up, accomplish, confirm. So consume, feast, and confirm, or lift up, right? Endure. Consume, he says, consume, feast, endure, perform. Consume, feast, endure, or perform. You princes, the word for princes. Sar, a head person, chief, governor, steward, keeper. Consume, feast, endure. You ambassadors of the word. He talking to us. Prepare the table, watching the watchtower. I know my Aki Kamey was big on this. He's a watchman. I done heard that I talk about that. He a watchman, man. That's just, even if you don't feel him, it's my job to let you know as a watchman of my people, we could do better. I respect that. I thank you for being on me when you be on me about things. Hallelujah. But Yah's telling them there, consume, feast, perform, endure. You watchmen, you leaders, you ambassadors of the word, the remnant, those who I've called. This is because this who's doing it. Like I said, the rest of the world is like it's the world on fire. People don't know what to do. To an Israelite who know better, we watching the world, this world system collapse in slow motion. I mean that. That's why I watch the news, just to watch the world collapse in slow motion. I ain't really tripping about what they saying. Just tell me what happened. I don't need your opinion and no, because I see it totally different. I see Yah in it, right? Consume, feast, endure, you watchmen, you princes, you leaders, you governors, you ambassadors of the word, and anoint. To rub with oil, that is to anoint by implication, to consecrate. Consume, feast, endure, you ambassadors of the word, and anoint, consecrate, smear with oil, the shield. A shield, the buckler, the protector, the defense, the ruler. Consume, prepare the table, watching the watchtower, consume, feast, consume on the word, feast, keep the feast, keep the Shabbat, endure, perform, accomplish, be ready, you ambassadors of the word. But smear the oil on the shield, the protector, the buckler, the ruler. Be watching for Hamashiach is what he told him right there. Verse 6, for thus have Yah. And see, in the verse 6, he go back to Adonai. So who said it? The King of Kings, the wonderful counselor, the one whose head, the government is on his shoulder, said unto me. Really? That's who told you this, Isaiah? Go and set a watchman. Let him declare what he see. Y'all better be on guard. Keep your lamps full. and make sure you let my people know. Remember, the job of the watchman was, if the watchman didn't do his job and he saw somebody coming to attack the spot, everybody might die. And that blood would be on his hand because the watchman didn't cry loud and spare not. Show my people their sins. Let my people know who they is. I ain't woke you up to be in your house acting like none of this matter. That ain't why you here. Let him declare what he see. Consume, feast, endure. You ambassadors of the word. But y'all better make sure you smearing that oil on the protector. You better know. The ruler, the buckler, my shield and my buckler. Y'all know who that is? Here he come. What? And he the one who told me. Man, set a watchman to declare what he see. And what did he see? Verse 7. What did he see? He saw a chariot with a couple horsemen, a chariot of asses and a chariot of camels. And he hearkened diligently with much heed. Who did he see? He said he saw a chariot with a couple horsemen. I had to read this in the Septuagint. He said, I saw 2 mounted horsemen and a rider on an ass and a rider on the camel. Now, I have to say this, because I'm really still wrecking my mind behind this, to be honest with you. In my heart, I must say, I felt like right here he was trying to tell us, I see 2 witnesses. I see a rider on an ass, which we know who rode into Jerusalem on the donkey, which is what an ass is. And the rider on the camel, I believe to be the Ruach HaKodesh. I have to say that. I believe that this is what he told him to be watching for. I believe that's what he telling them to see. The same thing we telling people. Hamashiach close. He our brother. We need to turn back to Yah. Turn back to the covenant. The Ruach HaKodesh will lead us all, right? The Ruach HaKodesh is how you woke up. The watchmen are going to come first before this all take place. That's really what I feel. With that being said, though, he saw 2 mounted horsemen, a rider on the ass and a rider on the camel. And he cried, a lion, which this Urias, I believe to be a lion, something like that. Urias to the watchtower is what it said in the Septuagint. Yahuwah has spoken. I stood continually during the day and I stood in the camp at night. And he cried a lion, the Lion of Yehuda. The word here for lion is Ari, which is why we named her Ariel, the Lion of Yah. And he cried, he saw a lion. He saw the Lion of Yah, my Lord, the Adon again, a human or divine Lord, master, controller, the Lion of Yah, my Lord. Just like King David said, I saw my Lord sitting next to Yah. Who was King David's Lord? Adonai is the word. He saw Yahushua too. This watchman is like, yo, and he cried, I see the Lion of Yah. I see Adonai or Don there. So what do I do? What do you all need to be doing? What am I going to do myself? We're going to stand continually up on this watchtower in the daytime, and I'm going to set my ward whole nights. Why? Because we got to let our people know. Mind you, he's still letting us know, Assyria, I chose you. Egypt, I chose you. Babylon, Greece, America, whoever. I chose y'all. Mystery Babylon, I chose y'all. Okay, do that. But this is how I'm coming for Israel, though. See, there is a difference. I may let you take them in captivity. You did things I ain't necessarily tell you could do, but I did say that they was going to serve under you because they didn't want to serve under me, so they got to serve under somebody. That's what y'all was saying. They ain't want to serve under me, but they got to serve under something then. Okay, that's cool. But when I come get him, it's going to be a Lion of Yah with a mounted horseman and a rider on an ass and a rider on the camel. And it made me think of, this really made me think of a couple scriptures, but in the book of Jude, that's only one chapter in Jude, verse 14 says, and Enoch also, the 7th from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, what Enoch prophesied? He said, behold, I don't even miss in the New Testament. I don't know what word they're using there for Lord, but we know what we're talking about. He said, behold, Adonai come with 10,000 of his saints. He ain't coming by himself. He come with 10,000 of his saints. 1 Thessalonians 3:13. Who he coming with? To the end, he may establish your hearts unblameable in holiness before Yah. That's what he coming for. The 1,000-year reign. I got the, yeah, you might be holy enough to make it to the 1,000 years, but you still ain't ready to stand in front of Yah. I got to teach. It's going to take me 1,000 years to get you ready for that. Even our Father, at the coming of who? Yah Adonai, Yahushua HaMashiach, with all his saints. Who he coming with? And this is why we opened up with Psalm 68. And this is why we opened up with Psalm 68, because King David told us to. The chariots of Elohim are 20,000, even thousands of angels. Adonai is among them. You better believe he among them. What is Isaiah saying here? He's saying, yeah, you people been chosen, but this how he coming for his people. I see the lion, and he cried, the watchman who watching and gonna cry, I see the Lion of Yah, our master, our Hamashiach, and we gonna stand continually up on the watchtower and day and night. Y'all is. That's what we doing now. And behold, here come a chariot of men and a couple of horsemen. So now he said a chariot of men. Who was this? The word here for men is ish. It could mean a man. It could also mean a champion, a mighty man, right? And now behold, here come a chariot of men, mighty men, champions, angels, the elders, who are the 24 elders who sitting around the throne. All that's coming with a couple of horsemen. And he answered and said, Babylon is falling. See, I chose all y'all for all that, and I done gave all y'all stay. My people paid right away, who said, let that blood be on their hands. We 2,000 years later. In the end, when I make the world pay, oh, Babylon gonna fall. Just like I told you in Revelation, Mystery Babylon is falling. Revelation 18, verse 2. I ain't even gonna read that, but yeah, it's falling. And all the graven images of her gods, he have broken unto the ground. This is why it's going to be a habitation of devils, because I'm going to destroy them and leave them there. This time, you're not coming up out of Egypt with the mentality of Egypt. No, I'm going to destroy all that. I'm bringing it all to the ground. So although I chose you nations and I allowed you to do a certain thing with my people, I allowed that. Don't get it twisted. This is how I'm coming for my people, though. And behold, he comes riding in a chariot and pair. And he answered and said, Babylon is fallen. It's fallen, and all her images and her idols have been crushed to the ground. Hear you that are left, the remnant, and you that are in pain, hear what things I have heard what Yahuwah Sabaoth, El Elyon of YeshaYahu has declared unto me. This is what you doing. You the watchman. Keep your lamp full, y'all see. Hey. Y'all see how said that one angel killed 185,000 Assyrians in one night. And none of them even woke, the ones who I left alive didn't even hear, didn't even wake up from their sleep. They didn't know until they woke up in the morning. They was at their homie tent like, hey, come on, bro, we finna go, man. Check on these Israelites, man. We ain't feeling none of these Negroes anyway. And his homie don't come out the tent. He step in the tent, his homie in there dead. Like, dang. Isaiah chapter 20 and 20, and the first part of chapter 21, where we gonna stop at today. That's y'all letting us know, man. Set a watchman, man. Y'all be ready. Stand on the watchtower day and night. Keep your lamp full, like the virgins. 5 of them, they had their lamps ready. 5 of them didn't. Keep your lamp full. You getting close, and this how I'm coming with 10,000 times 10,000 of saints. And we coming back, and we ain't coming to plead. We ain't coming looking to talk. No, we coming to, it's going to be blood to the horse's bridle. We going to stick the sickle in, and we going to reap this earth. And the only people going to make it out is those who y'all choose. And for you, Israel, you better make sure you're doing it the right way, because judgment is going to start at the house of Yah. Hallelujah. We going to stop right there. Any questions or comments about any of this before we move on? It seems like this has been a little long, but we still on cue, though. Anything anybody want to add to any of this before we get up out of here? I ain't gonna hold y'all all day. But be faithful. That's y'all letting you know he coming. YeshaYahu. Shabbat shalom, Makoti.
Shabbat shalom, Ak. It was just, you said a whole mouthful, especially in the last little bit right there. But when you were talking about watching, because he's only coming back for certain ones, Kadesh, in between the two calls, he was speaking to me and he was like, when a king approaches, his servants or his subjects, they bow down. So the closer Yahushua Mashiach is to returning, the more we should have the posture of prayer, confession, and repentance. And we know that he's getting closer because he is the light of this world. So that's the reason why there's so much things being exposed right now, because the closer the light of the world gets, the more that's in the darkness is to be seen. So just going back to that Watchman piece, like he's allowing us to see these things. I'm in agreement with you. It's not for us to be scared. It's for us to know, like, I'm on my way, I'm coming. So like you said, trim your lamps. Don't be the 5 foolish versions, be them 5 wise versions. Make sure you have enough oil. Yeah.
But I couldn't hear the end. You broke up a little bit. What you say?
Oh, I know. I just said hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And you are correct. For real. Stay on that watchtower, Coty. You a watchwoman. All of y'all. Everybody who in here, you ain't making here by chance. It don't matter. It don't matter what level of belief you at, because we all got to start somewhere. But you've been called. You've been called to be a watchman or a watchwoman. You got to educate yourself. You got to humble yourself. You got to repent. And I know you in Leviticus. to your point about when a king would approach you, you would get out on a knee, right? And in Leviticus, where it talked about the peace offering, which is a willing offering, it said it's made by fire. Leviticus 3:3. The peace offering is made by fire unto Yah. The fat that covered the inwards and all the fat that is up on the inwards, the 2 kidneys, the fat that is on them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver, with the kidneys it shall take away. When you look at the peace offering, he's telling us what shall be burned. And because that's the part that you burn, and the rest is to be eaten and used for clothing by the priest, and it was supposed to be the best of your lambs, the firstborn, your strongest, unblemished. But the part that would be on fire is the fat, because we ain't to eat nothing organs. The fat that cover the inwards, the fat that is up on the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on the flanks, the caul, the liver, and the kidneys. This is what he's burning. To your point about taking a knee before the king get here, you're already doing that. The fat that's supposed to come out to go for the sacrifice to Yah, the peace offering that you're willingly offering to the Most High. The fat is what? It's the richest and choice part. We got to offer the best of ourselves. The inward is the heart. It's what's within a man. The word is kareb. The heart represents, in the sense of being close, it represents what's within, right? We know that the heart is where you think. It's where your thoughts come from. The heart is the seat of authority in the man, right? We have to offer Yah our heart, the seat of authority in our lives. We have to offer our thoughts to the Most High. This is how you humble yourself willingly in this peace offering to bow. This is how you're spiritually already bowing. And physically we're going to bow too, I'm sure, but you're spiritually already bowing. He said you offer the 2 kidneys. The kidney is an essential organ, figuratively the mind, the interior self. You also have thoughts that come from your kidney. And it took me a long time to understand that, but if you think about it, your stomach speaks for you. You think when you're hungry, the stomach will growl, it'll let you know. The stomach will speak for you. Like when it's a lot of times when you're scared or you're worried about something, you will have that pang, as it talked about, that uneasy feeling in your stomach. Sometimes when you're about to do something, maybe you shouldn't, you'll have that gut feeling. You got to offer your mind. You got to offer the interior self. That's what he's telling you. You got to do. Remember, when the priest would take these things, this is what's sacrificed to the Most High. In the kidneys, you got to offer your mind, your interior self, your heart, your seat of authority. You got to offer to Yah. The fat, the best of yourself, you got to offer to Yah. He says the flanks. What is the flanks? The fatness. The word is kasil, silliness, or your trust, your confidence, your hope. You got to offer to Yah. The call. What is the call, right? It's the lobe or flap of the liver. Wait, I didn't even say the word, my fault. Yathareth, something like that. I could be wrong. I'm not the Hebrew scholar, don't let me lie. But what does that mean? What did that say? LG2. And the root of it in the ancients, it's abundance in the sense of expanding a border, you know, the abundance, the profit, the plenteousness, the preeminence, right? Where's G2? It's the lobe of the extension, more better over profit, more over further, the sense of abundance. What makes a man tick is what he's trying to say there. You have to offer that to Yah, right? The abundance of a man, what makes him, what inspires him, I took from that, right? You got to offer that. The liver is what's heavy, right? The word here for liver is kebab. It's the heaviest of the, it's one of the heaviest organs, right? Is the liver. It represents a man's glory, his honor, someone or something that is heavy in weight, wealth, abundance, importance, or respect. What you honor has to be centered around Yah. To consider something that's heavy in the sense of respect, your honor, your respect, we have to offer to the Most High. And lastly is the kidneys. And this is what to be burned. And we got the kidneys again, which mean the mind or the interior self. And as you say, it shall be taken away. And Aaron's son shall burn it on the altar upon the burnt sacrifice, which is upon the wood that is on the fire. It is the offering made by fire of sweet savor unto Yahuwah. So as we are the watchmen on this tower and we await Yah, and Isaiah is letting us know in Isaiah chapter 21, yeah, y'all been judged, you've been through it, and yeah, I done chose these nations to hold you down. But I told you though, we can't say y'all was foul, because I told Moses to tell y'all when I established y'all, if you break this covenant, this was gonna happen. Moses said it's gonna be a silly nation. You're gonna serve under a silly nation. They're gonna provoke you to jealousy. They're gonna be so silly. Which they do now. Now that you've been woke up, they be around here talking about Jesus and showing you this white Messiah, and we going to church on Sunday, and that don't even sit right with you no more. Because now you see the folly, which Yah told you, right? But as you do that, part of keeping your lamp full is you got to offer Yah your kidneys, your inner self, your heart, your seat of authority, the best of yourself. We can't sit around and play with Yah. No, we offer Yah the best of ourselves. That's the humbling. That's the taking of a knee spiritually, Akoti. We got to offer our honor, what we respect, our hope, what we got confidence in. And that's how you gonna make it. I just figured I'd throw that in there to you because I know you've been in Leviticus. You may have already seen that, but hallelujah.
No, I actually didn't. So hallelujah for sharing that with me.
Hallelujah.
I did want to say this. If you go to Romans 5 and verse 1 and 2.
Romans 5.
Mhm.
You want to read it?
Yes, sir. It says, therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with Yahuwah through our Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach, by whom also we have access by faith into this grace wherein we stand and rejoice in hope of the glory of Yahuwah. I just want to add to what you were saying, because hallelujah, wow, for that breakdown. Like the peace offering overall is our faith in Yahushua. That's how we have peace with Yahuwah, is by having faith in Yahushua HaMashiach. And then doing all those, we do all that stuff that you just said, we do it in faith in Yahushua HaMashiach.
Definitely. Hallelujah. Maybe that'll help you as you go forward in Leviticus. I saw that a time ago. It's a whole story how we came to that, but I saw that a time ago about what Yah was asking about these offerings. So, and maybe you can keep that in mind as you go through Leviticus.
Todah.
Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom, Mama Speed. I think that's Mama Speed. His iPhone with their hand up. I can't hear you if you're talking.
Oh, it's something going on with my phone. I was trying to take the microphone off. But Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I was just thinking as we were, we've discussed so many things, and And but one of the things that I wanted to comment on and I wanted to encourage everyone is that, especially when it comes to, just dealing with family, teenagers, Miles in particular, just dealing with relationships, that you have to be humbled by the opportunity to present yourself as someone who live a life of repentance, and that you're humbling yourselves before his mighty hand. And that would require what you're thinking when you maybe are in a confrontational situation, or when someone may be not sitting right with you. But it's not how they are acting, it's how you handle it. And so when you're in a situation like that, immediately repent. Take your thoughts, your mind, your liver, your stomach, your mind, your kidneys, offer it up quickly.
Yeah.
Don't try to be prideful, because we're in these relationships and we think in Western, but we shouldn't. What has to be said, or maybe something doesn't even need to be said. However it goes, you have to put your heart, your mind, and your ruach, and your flesh on the mighty hands of the Most High. Because at the end of the day, everybody is going to have to go. Although we are hard, but we all going to have to go before his judgment based on how we handled each other and how we treat one another. And I know I have to work on that. But I just wanted to say, the sacrifice, it's good. It's a good sacrifice if you humble yourself and you live a life of repentance and you have that faith and you walk according to the Ruach. It's going to be a good sacrifice. So look from within. Everything you need is within you. Study that word. Stop being lazy. Stop making excuses. And stop thinking that you know everything, because we don't.
True.
And just always go to him, and he's going to teach us. He's going to help us, and he's going to help us to love one another so that people will know who we are by our love for one another. So I just wanted to say that, because that was my conviction the whole time I was in Africa, how they treated one another and how they were so humble and kind to one another. And it was truly a blessing. But for us, we got to treat each other better. And we have to live a life of repentance.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
It's most definitely a sign.
Hallelujah.
Anything else anybody want to add before we pray out? It's been a good read. It's always a pleasure. Hallelujah. That's how y'all coming for us. Hey, I laugh. It's exciting to think about, but that is how Yah is coming for his people, man. They tell us a lot of things. They don't want to tell us that, but just know that's how Abba Yah said he was coming. I guess I should read Revelation 18 too. Just we've read this so many times, but when he was talking about Mystery Babylon, he said the same thing. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen. It's fallen and has become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit, because he's going to crush the so-called gods there, as he told us in Isaiah. In the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. He's talking about demons, fallen angels. He ain't just talking about birds he created. He's talking about spiritual wickedness there. Babylon is falling, and it's going to fall in the end. And we're watching Mystery Babylon fall, like I say. So, as YeshaYahu was saying and his mama Speed was saying, let's correct ourselves. Let's work on ourselves. Let's become better servants. Offer up the best of yourself to the Most High. Offer him your hope and your confidence. Offer him your thoughts. Offer him the seat of authority in your life and let him guide you and he'll show you the way. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And one other thing I want to say. You say it's fall. It is going to fall. I say it has fallen. Our eyes are just closed because I'm telling you, I struggled growing tomatoes. I had like scattered squash. Like it's hard to grow stuff in America. They making up meat now. I'm not afraid, but I just looked at the stuff and I was like, oh my goodness, this stuff is not growing like it used to. It is sad. It's really sad. So we're creating ways to grow food because the earth said, no, I'm not gonna produce for you no more. We're done. We're done with you.
True.
So it's hard to grow a tomato in some of the I'm serious. It is hard to grow tomatoes. And if I can show you pictures that Speedy and I grew tomatoes, cucumbers, they just flourish. But this year, and I had some nice soil, so I thought, but we're done. We're done here. Like you said, all we have is our faith. And we cannot depend on our bug outs and our what we reserve for later. That may not even be good. You may look at it, might be bugs in it. You don't know what's gonna happen to that stuff.
True.
So like you said, all we have is our faith.
Hallelujah. You came, Yah. Shalom, Mark.
And shalom. Yeah, Shabbat Shalom, family. Man, it's all these really good points, especially when people start talking about, looking at yourself and, just always, in this walk, a lot, sometimes you may think that people have a lot of Bible knowledge and and they supposed to be this and they supposed to be that, but remember, nobody has made it yet. We all got to endure. And that's the thing that we need each other, and you need that strong relationship with somebody that's walking right in this thing. I love the fact that the couples, the Speeds and you and your wife, all of the couples in here, that they have each other, to build themselves up with and everything. But you're going to have somebody that can, that you can talk to and you can ask them about, if you see anything wrong with me, help me out. I know it's going to be a little tough for me to deal with me making a mistake or saying something, or maybe the way I treat people or whatever, because you know what kind of person you used to be. Like you talked about it. We know what we did wrong. We always know. We know when we're doing wrong. That's automatic. So we know our sins, but we just need somebody that, first of all, we can't just be offended so easily when you make mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes, man. And that's the thing. I think, I was like, looking for a place in the walk where I've reached a plateau where ain't nothing going on. I'm just coasting. Man, it's not like that. It's not like that. It was crucial for Moses all the way up until his last day.
True.
It was crucial, real crucial. The easiest part that he had was, like we were talking about in the Bible study, we don't know if he was 18 or if he was 40 whenever he left Egypt, but that was at least we know for the first 20 years was probably about the easiest time of his life.
True.
But it was the most satisfactory part of his life, and it wasn't the most shalom in his life. You know what I'm saying? That came in the last part of his life. He was having, even though it was crucial at the end of his life, he had more shalom because he had a closer walk with Yah. And so the intensity of the fire is always, you always got to get into the fire. If you want to be refined and, as silver and gold, you're going to always be in the fire. You just have to some kind of way figure out, you just want to be pleasing. You got a desire to see Yah. It's going to come down to you wanting to see him. I'm talking about whatever he gives us as eyes to see him. When we see him, and you want to be able to embrace him because you know that you come from him. It'll become just your obsession. And once that becomes your obsession, you don't mind some of this other stuff. It's just that, sometimes we have to realize, and I know as I have to realize from my background of growing up, the way I grew up with parents that worked all the time or work in business with my parents coming up, you know, and stuff like that. And I've had a background of some military and stuff. Sometimes I'm a little rough, you know, and I have to realize that, you know, that I can't be that way because I don't want nobody to be missing. I don't want them to slip up. And our biggest person that we got to watch out for is ourselves, of not maybe being lazy or maybe believing that we're not worth it. And Satan has worked on your mind to the point where you're like, you know what, I can't get over this. And that's a lie from the pit of hell. Anybody can change. Anybody can change. You're going to have to. And it's just taking the chance on faith. We prayed over there in the church for things. We asked to miss because we were praying for this, praying for that job, praying for this, praying for that. But we weren't trying to pray for, Father, show me your truth. And I prayed to the Father before my children was born to show me your truth. It was Wellington Farms Apartments. We were living there in Charlotte, East Charlotte. And I said, man, show me your truth, Father. And it took a long time before he let me come into this, just like you was talking about, Ike. It took a long time before, you know, that was in the 90s. And, you know, and I went through all different types of churches and stuff, but he kept me safe. He kept me, you know, going. And ultimately I got to this place where I have this family that's all over the country that I don't get a chance to lay eyes on, but they're my family and they're true. And I can tell that they're true because they're saying the same thing that the Spirit is showing me. They're showing that I'm going through the same thing that I see this family going through. And so it's a beautiful thing. And, you know, but don't believe that you can't overcome. You're going to have to start telling yourself every day, you know, great is he that is in me than he that is in the world. You got to start motivating yourself. You got to believe it. I don't care how raggedy you just were. Repent, ask the Father to forgive you. Go ask that person to forgive you that you was raggedy with, and get back up on this trail. Get back up on this trail. Don't be sitting over here on the sideline because you know you got some secret sin that you just can't seem to fight. You can get over it. You know, fasting and praying. And if you hunger and thirst after righteousness, you're going to overcome it. You will overcome it. He will. And that's why he calls you, you are my witness. You know, that's what he's trying to tell you. And when you become the witness to him, you ain't worried about, like he said, about a bug out bag. You ain't worried about that because you're going to be able to go into a house, an abandoned house somewhere, turn the water on, the water going to work. You're going to be able to, it's going to be providence for you no matter where you go.
Hallelujah.
It's just going to be that way because why would he bring you this far and drop you off?
He hasn't.
He's not going to bring you this far and drop you off. He created you. He's trying to show you in the last hour when you like, man, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it, you know, and you just rent your clothes and you lay down your prayer in front of the Most High like Hezekiah did. You say, you know what, you know, I know we've sinned, but help us, Father. And then he's gonna come in right at that moment, and then you're gonna see what kingdom you belong to. You know, it's a real walk, and you can start having these experiences and these witnesses and start building up your little trove, your little treasures of all of the things that he's done for you. You can start building that stuff up now because you're going to need to be able to exercise that spiritual muscle when it's time, when you got people around you that depending on you to pray. And you need to know how to pray because you've been praying on a continuous basis for ahava, for love. You ain't gonna get no love out here for our people just from your own mind. You're gonna have to get that from Yah, because our people are rough.
True.
They hard to love. And the only way you're gonna love them is the Father change your mind. And then you'll really love them. And you'll really see what it is to be in the valley of dry bones and how bad they need for you to pray for them and how bad they need for you to intercede for them and to help them and be a brother and a sister to them. You know, so everything that we're doing in this little circle, man, is so important. This family, we're inside of a family's prayer group, a family Shabbat. And I feel honored to be inside of this family Shabbat. It was started with a family and Patrick and your mom and all that. I feel honored to be in there because I know, hey man, this is an intimate setting. These are the people that you care about the most. You know, and I just appreciate it, man. But I just want to encourage everybody just to keep pushing, man. You know?
Hallelujah. That was encouraging. Most definitely, Aki. You on point. And we're honored to have you. A Koti of YeshaYahu and then Angel.
I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Aki Kenya had said. Like, you know, Yahuwah said that he'll supply all of our need according to his riches and glory. And he's taking care of all the other stuff so we can focus on what he gave us to do. So worrying about how we're supposed to, I mean, Yahushua even talked about it, worrying about what we're supposed to wear, what we're supposed to eat and all the other stuff. He's like, if we're seeking him, he gonna take care of all that other stuff. We just have to seek him and do what he told us to do. And I mean, I have an older testimony about, you know, back in the day, owing an apartment complex $1,600. I had $160 to my name and I didn't even know I owed $1,600. But I literally put that as an offering at, you know, yeah, I was in the Babylonian church, but I was truly seeking after Yahusha. I just didn't know that he was Yahusha. But next thing I know, the apartment complex forgave me $1,000, and then one of the friends of the owner paid the other $600. And all I was doing was just continuing to do what I was told to do, serving however, this, that, and the other. But that was an old testimony. My dad actually has a more recent one that I asked him if he would share it, because, you know, it's important we have these different witnesses because we overcome by the word of our testimony. So Daddy, do you want to give your testimony about what recently happened to you?
Is there somebody else behind you?
Oh, I mean, go ahead, Dad.
It's okay.
He said, go ahead.
Yes, how you doing, Andre?
Shalom.
I was going to the store in my SUV. It's a 2021, so it's not an old vehicle, and it only has 17,000 something miles on it.
Okay.
I got about a mile or so away from my house, and it quit running. Just stopped on me. And, you know, I'm not going to go through everything that I went through trying to get the vehicle to the shop, but it was Friday afternoon, around 4. So I'm thinking, okay, the Shabbat starts tonight. So I can't be moving this vehicle on, you know, tonight or tomorrow. So I'll have to wait until Sunday at the earliest. And I didn't want to leave my vehicle there for 2 days. But the scripture came to me. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, right?
Hey.
If my ox falls into the ditch, then I could get him out on the Sabbath.
Sure.
And that's what I compared it to. But then, after going through everything else, I started walking home. It's like I said, it was a mile or so. And as I was walking, the clouds started building up and getting dark and everything. And I just praised Yah that I had the strength to walk, because I'm a 71-year-old man, and some of us can't even walk to the restroom.
Bro.
So I just praised him for that. And as it started sprinkling, a man in the truck pulled over and gave me a ride. Then when I went back the next day, got the tow truck. I had to pay for the tow truck. Took the car to the dealer, and I got reimbursed for what I paid for the tow truck from my insurance company. The fixing the vehicle was free. And then I had a leak in my rear tire, and I took it to a tire shop to get it fixed, and that was free.
Yeah.
The thing is, he will take care of those who love him. And all you have to do is trust in him. As it says in, what is that? Proverbs 3:9, 3, 5, and 6. Trust in Yahuwah with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. The thing is, if you trust in him, he's going to work overtime for you. If you don't trust him, then don't expect anything. because the world's not going to do anything for you because they don't like you. You don't belong to them.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like Jeremiah said, buy bread without money. And that's what happened.
Yeah. Most definitely, Aki. Hallelujah. And I know everybody.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Yeah, doing that. That's definitely, and it's good to hear that everything went well. Like it's a small testimony for myself. We've been looking to buy a house since like May. I've been in a lot of houses. I'm actually so tired of looking at people's houses, man. But you know, we were constantly getting outbid. Even when we would bid 10, 20,000 over the asking price, we've been getting outbid. It's actually was starting to become tiring. I wasn't really stressing it, but it's become tiring. You know, a lot of times I'm looking at these houses through the day. I work from home with the baby. My wife is at work, so I got to take the baby, jump in and out the car with her. I'm trying to view somebody's house while she all on somebody's couch jumping around. It's a whole lot, right? But we've put a bid in. We've probably, I think I've seen 50 houses since May. I really do. But we probably 40. I don't know. It's been a lot of houses, but we put a bid on like 3 or 4 houses. We've lost out on all the houses. So we finally seen this house. It was a nice size. It needs some work. It needs some carpet and some paint, which ain't that bad to do. We know, we know plenty of people around the family who do those kind of things. They wanted, we bid under 15,000 lower than what they wanted for the house because it needed the work. And the lady was telling us about the woman who owned the house, how she's sick, she need the money, yada, yada, yada. So they come up and they like, if you just give us 10,000 less than what we want in the house, you can get it. So that we like, cool. We put the paperwork together with the real estate agent. We sent it over. When we sent it over like within a day. And the lady like, well, you know, somebody came and seen it. They bid the full price. We lost the house. This was like a week ago. So I really have not been attached to any of these houses we lost, but this last house was kind of like, dang, you know, we really wanted this house, even though it needed work. It's not, like I say, it's a nice size house, but it needs work. It's not nothing you could just move right in. It's, you know, I wouldn't call it a fixer upper because it has some things about it that's good, but it needs work. And we lost that. So in my mind, I'm like, I understood some of these other houses we lost because realistically, y'all was sparing us because at the end of the day, we might have bid too high than we really wanted to pay, but we were just trying to move. But this house, to me and my wife, was kind of like, yo, that's crazy. So I told myself, I'm taking a week off. I'm not even going to look at no houses. Don't send me no houses. I'm not looking on no Zillow or nothing. I ain't going to view nothing. I'm straight. I need a week. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna meditate on y'all. I'm gonna pray. I might even was gonna fast this week and ask y'all, what are we to do? Right. So I'm talking to my brother, which is my real estate agent. Thursday, I believe we were talking. And which Thursday was a surreal day. My father had to go to the hospital to have a procedure on his heart. And when he got there, they told him he didn't need because he changed his diet and his heart had got better. So I was going to talk to him. I spent a few hours with him. It was just a lot going on around me Thursday, but I called my brother because I hadn't talked to him since we lost the house. He was even deflated. We were all a little deflated. And I'm on the phone talking to him and we just talking about, you know, I talked to him about staying patient and my brother is trying as well. And you know, just talking to him about life, our father, our sister, our family. When I'm on the phone with him, he like, yo, the real estate agent from that house calling me. And we have an electric vehicle and the house has solar panels on it already. So part of me and my brother's conversation was like, you know what? I'm telling him like, I should have just bid what they wanted for the house and the door instead of trying to get some money off. I should have just bought the house, right? And I'm telling them like one of the reasons why we should have bought it is because the solar panels, although the electric car isn't costing us that much and it's saving us a lot of money on gas already. But with the solar panels, it even makes the electric car even more beneficial to us moving around because the solar panels will stabilize. With the solar panels, they told us that you're spending $15 a month for the light bill. And I'm like, yo, that would just expound upon all this money we save in between gas and the electric car. Me and my brother's talking about this as the lady's calling. And he click over, he like, hold on, let me see what she's talking about. So when he click over, he merges me into the conversation, which I had to put my phone on mute because I didn't know he was going to do that. And lo and behold, the lady's like, the people who bought the house don't want the solar panels. She like, because if for those of you who know, if you have a house and you put solar panels on it, the government will give you like a $7,500 tax credit. So he's like, he doesn't want the solar panels because he wants to put his own to get that credit. And when you get the solar panels, it's $91 a month is what the lady was paying because they cost like $20,000, and it's like you have to finance them unless you got $20,000 to buy them, and you pay $91 a month for that, and then it was $15 a month for the light bill, so it's still like $115. But with air in the car at home now, we spending like $200. This was me and my brother's conversation. Man, the lady's like, dude don't want the solar panels. He wants the woman to, off the closing of the house, he wants the woman to give him $18,000 back to pay the solar panels off. Now, the woman, the reason why the house will fix her up, the woman had a health issue. She's been down for 8 years. Her kids weren't coming to check on her. She just went to the nursing home. She doesn't have health care. So she's paying for this nursing home, and she needs all of the profit that she's going to get from the house because, after COVID in the market, the house is up market value, and she's telling us she's going to profit 50,000. That's why she don't want to come off no money. She needs it all. The lady's like, because when you sign a contract for a house, you got like 5 days to cancel out the contract without any repercussion, right? The lady's like, if your client want the house, we'll cancel the contract right now and buy it. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. I'm telling my brother how we want the solar panels, and the lady call and say the solar panels just broke the deal. And it was just like, yo, and that goes to your point about trusting Yah. Because me and my brother was talking, and I was telling my brother, like, yeah, that's a blow, but we gonna stay patient. Y'all gonna put us where we supposed to be. That's how I move anyway, though, for those of you who know me. And lo and behold, the thing that I felt like I should have bought the house for, y'all turned around and gave me the house because of the solar panels. And I was like, yo, that's
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
most
Hallelujah.
definitely.
Hallelujah.
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 Akoti Angel, it's on you, and you can pray us out when you finish, Akoti.
Okay. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I just wanted to basically land back on what everyone else is saying, and just to maybe provide another witness, not that we need it anymore, but another witness to the fact that we need to endure all things until the end and remain faithful in every situation. And I just basically wanted to say that we may be called to endure some things, even things that we never imagined we'd have to go through. We may have to be in situations that we never imagined we would have the strength to go through. But if we submit all of our ways to Yahuwah completely and submit every situation to him, he will absolutely infuse us with what we need to get through it. And I really wholeheartedly believe that. And just my experience was, and some of you know, and some may not know, but I lost my husband 3 weeks ago, almost 4 weeks ago. But all the while that he was sick, my prayer was to Yah, was for him to do whatever pleased him. And I knew that there's always a possibility that it may not end up the way I want, the way that we hope, we may not get what we're praying for. But I trusted Yah, knowing that if it's his will, that it would ultimately be for my good. And so in every situation, we have to continue in hope, remain faithful to Yah. And it's not easy. It's not always easy. It can be confusing and deflating, discouraging, all of that. However, my witness, my testimony is that even in the most trying and most difficult situations, Yah will show up and he will pull you through. I am telling you, I did not pull myself through anything that I went through recently I cannot attribute any of it to my own strength and power. I really cannot. It reminds me of the poem that I used to read and hear, and it talked about the footsteps in the sand and how at one point you see two sets of footprints, but then you look back and you see that there's just one. And Yahusha is saying, well, that's when I was carrying you. And so I can tell you for sure that I have had that experience of being carried through, and I still am being carried through, but just be encouraged no matter what you have to face. It may not even be that severe of a situation, but whatever it is that you have to face, be faithful to Yah through it all, and he will absolutely be yoked together with you as the strong leader and take you through whatever it is that you encounter. I believe it with every part of me, and I know it to be true. So anyway, I just wanted to share that testimony and that witness, and I will pray.
Hallelujah.
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 That was beautiful.
Hallelujah.
That's very beautiful.
Hallelujah.
Yes, hallelujah. Thank you so much, sister.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And thank you all for being here. I'm just encouraged by having the opportunity to be here with everyone. As the Ox said a few minutes ago, this is an intimate setting because it did start out as a family Zoom, but I'm just glad to be considered family. So I'm just happy to be here. But did anybody have any requests for prayer?
Encouragement.
Okay. Well, Father, I'm sorry.
I wanted to say thanks to the Most High for, the healing that he's given me this week.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Oh, Father. Oh, yeah. We give you praise and esteem. We thank you so much for the privilege and the opportunity to be together on this call with other people who love you and are seeking after you wholeheartedly. We thank you and praise you, Father, for this Shabbat day. We know that it is a sign between you and your people, and I'm just grateful, Father. We are grateful for the opportunity to be here. Father, first and foremost, thank you so much for healing the brother, for delivering him, and for even restoring him, whatever it is that you did, Father. Thank you for it. And I pray that you will continue to do it. I ask it in the name of Yahusha. Father, I ask that you would give to each and every one of us the measure of encouragement that we need in this life. Yah, you know everything. You know it all. You see the full picture. You know the things that we are facing. You know what's going on all around us. You know it. And I just ask, Father, that you would give us encouragement, give us comfort, give us all strength, Father, so that we can stand bold and firm, so that we can reflect you and represent you in the earth. Oh, yeah, if you don't strengthen us, if you don't lift us up, if you don't infuse us with power, if you don't even breathe into us a breath of life, Father, we'll be no good. We need you so desperately, Father. We are nothing without you, but with you, we can do everything that you call us to do. And so I just ask that you would take us by the hand, that you would put your yoke upon us, that you would lead us and guide us. I pray, Father, that you would give us all the wisdom that we need to endure everything. I pray, Father, that we would reflect you to those who don't know you. I pray that people would see us, see our conduct, hear our manner of speech, that people would observe us and say, whoever those people serve, I sign me up. Father, I pray that you would bless us all according to our need throughout this week. I ask, Father, that whomever it is on this call that needs a healing, I pray that you would give it in abundance according to your will. I pray, Father, that you would bless every household represented on this call with whatever is needed. To those who need a financial blessing, I pray that you would provide it. To those who need just whatever it may be, so many things are needed, but you own the cattle on 1,000 hills. Everything belongs to you. You even own all of the power. Everything is yours, Father. The earth is yours and the fullness thereof, the whole world and all of us who dwell in it. We all belong to you and are under your power and your authority. And so I just pray that you would have your way. I pray that you would bless and give comfort, give strength, give healing, whatever is needed. I pray that you would do it, Father. And I pray that you would help us to know what it is that you want us to do with our lives and with our time. I pray that we would not miss any opportunities to glorify you. I pray that we would not miss any opportunities to bless you, to bless your name, and to bless all of your people. So, Father, I thank you again for this Zoom call. I thank you for Andre and Aksheli and for every single person here. And I even pray that you would bless the people who will see it and listen to it later, at a later date. May your blessings just continually flow. And Father, we'll give you all praise and esteem for everything that you do. I lift up every fatherless child and every widow woman to you. Everyone who has a need, I just lift them up and I ask that you would put your loving arms of protection around them. And we give you all esteem for everything, Yah. In the name of Yahusha, I pray. Hallelujah. Praise you, Father.
Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah, saints.
Great prayer, Coatsy, all the time. It's always a pleasure to have you on the call.
Toda. Such a pleasure to be here.
Hallelujah. Everybody have an amazing Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom,
Shalom,
family.
beloved.
Everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Great testimony, y'all. Shabbat Shalom.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom, Ak.
All right.